That is a very good question, Tim. Where is the crawl and the overlay? I'm just going to say that button hasn't been...
Oh,
no, number one.
My bad. No. Wait, no.
No.
Wait,
no.
no.
No. Oh,
there it is.
There it is. Oh, the overlay doesn't start until the music ends because it's a different scene.
Oh, because you went to the man cave scene.
I went to the man
cave.
cave. Yeah, you go to the man cave scene before the scene stops, and then once the music's done because it's playing in OBS, then it comes back, or then it switches to the overlay. And I don't know. Oh, there's a way.
Fine. It's just you went to the man cave shot
early,
and it just looked like it didn't have pants on because it didn't have its graphics.
I know. I'm like,
it looked kind of naked. I'm like,
yeah, where's the?
It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. Anyways, hey, that's the way we roll here, I guess. On the show, I'm going to switch back to here. Did you see I did that? I have the bars button now.
Yeah. What's up with the bars?
I just decided that if I ever get in a situation where, well, if there's something going on and I don't feel like, airing it, maybe something gets a little feisty.
Oh, I see.
I can hit that bars button and it will go to the bars, but the button itself will also mute all of the microphones at the table. Okay, so that just switched incorrectly.
Yeah. Why'd that go to that?
Well, remember I told you the timing, because of the time. So that just did a double switch on it. It went to the auto at the timing.
Right.
And the auto took it back to the tower thing. So yeah, I'm having fun over here. I'm going to unplug that Wi-Fi.
So wait, what source is where's your
Oh, I got the
webcam in front of you?
The webcam
is it behind that browser?
Yeah.
That's why.
That's why.
It's behind the browser. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so we can switch to that shot. That's a good one, right? And I can say, hey, this is my brain. This is my brain.
Yeah.
But we don't need that.
The P and P is your choice.
Wait. I need this, but I don't need that. Right?
There you go.
Is that?
Oh, you
there?
shifted over too.
I
You're
did.
right in front of kind of like the "This is my brain" sign.
Yeah. So it's just my head and then my brain right there. Yeah.
Right.
And I leaned the wrong way before.
Yeah, that happens.
This
it's
is
like
my brain.
Driving an RC car.
It is.
Go to turn.
It's all
go the wrong way.
But it's cool that it's spelled. I like that you can do that with the cameras to where it's the actual image. You know what I'm saying? So that the lettering is correct.
Right.
It cracks me up when I'll see people and they won't switch that, like they don't realize it, and all of the lettering that they're doing in their camera stuff is all backwards. And you're like,
and they try to show a book or something. And
you're like
backwards, and they have no clue.
That's right. Yeah. You're like,
well, as a production guy, I just get laughing. Amateurs.
Exactly. So the other laptop's just having a good old time, deciding not to connect for whatever reason. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid. I'm like, the Wi-Fi died on that laptop. The onboard Wi-Fi died last year for whatever reason, and I was told it was probably just software by a buddy. And they tried to mess with it and tried to do some stuff to it, and they gave it back to me, and it worked one session, and when I shut it down and fired it back up, it was dead again, the thing. And so I've went through, I think this is my fourth little dongle thing.
Yeah, little Wi-Fi dongle.
Little Wi-Fi dongle, and the other, is it fourth or third? This might be the third one. Anyways, the previous ones, it's 1, 2, the previous ones no longer work. So this one now is starting to fritz and give me issues.
You know, RJ45 on that older machine? Or you just don't want to connect it?
RJ45, what?
Ethernet.
No, there isn't.
Wow.
No.
Really?
Yeah, it's that new.
Really?
It's that new of a machine. It's like 2.5, 3 years old, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's 4 years old.
Okay. Sure.
I mean, there's no disk drive. There's
yeah.
two. There's only 2 USB ports.
It's for people who want a piece of hardware who don't really want to do anything.
Yeah, there's 2 USB ports. There's an SD card reader. There is a C-type plug-in for it, which I bought a C-type hub with 3.0 USBs and an Ethernet just so I could do that. But this was working, 10 seconds before we started the cast, so now it's
Speaking of how you starting?
Yeah, hey, this is
routine.
You know what? Just want to let everybody. I don't know if anybody's tuning into chat and saying hi yet. That's the old chat list. Where's the new chat list? Here we are. Let's see. We gotta. Okay. So nobody's piping in the chat. That's the old chat list over there. Go back to the destination. Does the destination showing? Yeah, see, there's views. So we got, and that may be just you checking them out, but
no, not this one.
Yeah, we got some people on Facebook. So you guys chime in on Facebook and let us know. But been really meditating on the show, meditating on what I want to do, and of course, Tim and I have had a number of conversations. One of the big things, it's summertime, and even Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder, they take a month off. I think they take the whole month of July off just because everybody's out and about and doing everything, and they do the show 4 days a week, so Monday through Thursday. And so it's tough. I went and played hockey last night like I normally do on Mondays, and Vince and I had been outside working on a deck for about 6.5 hours in the sun, about 88 degrees, and it was so we were so exhausted from just being in the sun and being beat on, because we worked Friday, and then Saturday we didn't, I didn't work outside. I had a private party that my guitar player and I played at, and that was not it was a private pool party. We could have jumped in the pool. There was a whole bunch of people in the pool, but we didn't start playing music until like 6:20. So we weren't in the hot sun. I mean, it was hot out, but we weren't like, running a impact driver or swinging a hammer or doing stuff like that on a deck. And then Sunday, I kind of relaxed here. I was so burnt from that night. I don't think I got home till 2. We tried to quit twice, and they kept coming and saying, you guys got to do more songs. You got to do more songs. We're like, all right, man. And then I ended up downstairs. It's a big house. This is one of my friends and his wife, and we ended up singing. I don't know what they had, Spotify or something like that. But we all ended up hanging around the basement kitchen. They had, they got a big house with a basement kitchen and stuff. And we're all around this. They have a probably 25-foot arch bar, stone on top, and then the sink and stuff like that. And everybody's just hanging out down there. We were finishing off a bunch. They had incredible food, and we're hanging around these 3 crock pots full of meat. Just everybody's just reaching in there with the tongs and grabbing out pieces and putting them on, throw them on a collective plate, and then just waiting for it to cool down for a minute, and then munching on it. So it was really cool. But either way, we didn't. I wasn't outside for 2 days, and then Monday comes, and we're outside on the deck, and then I went to hockey, and thought I would be okay getting into the rink and it being a little bit colder, and it was roasting in the rink. The ice was slushy, not slushy. Like the ice was solid ice, but when you scrape the ice, it should be more like a powder, and it ended up looking like somebody kept dumping, non-colored slushies all around the net, and the puck was sticking and everything like that. And neither one of us goalies were ever got cold, like ever got cooled down. And for the last 20, 25 minutes of the skate, I'm sitting there. And if the play wasn't in my end of the rink, I just sat, on my pads. I didn't stand up. I just stayed, kind of kneeling on my pads and just listening to my heartbeat throughout my entire body because it was so hot in there and I just couldn't cool down. And it's a catch-22 when you're overheated like that because you're in so much gear that your body has to work harder to cool you down by sweating. And in order to cool you down by sweating, you have to exert even more energy to get that sweat going. And it just never caught up. Me and the other goalie were talking afterwards, and I was like, dude, I never got cold. Never, or not even, I never cooled off.
Right.
And it was just roasting in the rink, which normally it's, you walk in and it's especially on a day like, days like today, it's a refreshing, blast of cold air. So either way, all of that said, it's summer and it's roasting. It was 90, 91 degrees or something like that today in Michigan. And so I kind of am looking at different things with the show and I'm like, you know what? I really want to just, kind of take some assessment, take a little bit of a break. And let Patrick and Mom, enjoy the summer. And Vince had a meeting. He may pop in a little later, but I've already got an agenda. And
and Tim doesn't go outside for a living, so he's always available to sit on the microphone. I was like, I had to walk for 20 minutes. Once in this heat down here, and I had to take a 4-hour nap afterwards.
Dude, and I've been down there with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 109 today.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and did you hear the news today? How much they're especially England and a couple other places where they're acting like we've never had heat like this, and we've never had, this has never happened before.
And we're like, confirmation of global warming.
Yeah. It's like, what? What are you talking about? No. They're like, oh, it's never had this much heat. And it's like, you go back. And it was funny. I don't know what show it was on today, one of the podcasts, but they said, you go back 10 years ago when there was heat, and they're almost identical in the stuff that they're saying. Like they're not saying anything new. It was cool though because they were playing. I would pull it up, but the internet's not working on the one laptop. But they were talking about. They were playing a compilation video of all the scientists and stuff talking in the 70s about this next major ice age that's coming, and we've got to be careful. We got to be wise. And then the compilation shifts over into the global warming stuff once you get into the 90s, and and we're going to we're going to be underwater because of global warming, and and then it's climate change.
Kind of like a time lapsed media rhetoric.
Yeah.
Piece.
They just
see how it shifts over the decades.
Yeah, they just laid out the bullshit as you're going, and you're like, wow,
that's a clever edit. You have to show me that.
Yeah, I will once this. I'm tempted to shut this laptop off. I'm tempted to just shut it off and restart it. But anyway, so by way of disclaimers, if you guys aren't familiar with the show, if somebody's tuning in and this is the first time you're checking out the show, we're politically incorrect. We can switch to that if we want to. I want to make my own sign. So, but notice this place is politically.
I clicked it. It just didn't go the first time.
Yeah. No, there's a funny thing about that switcher sometimes that you have to double click it sometimes. I don't know what the deal is, but this place is politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas, one nation under God. We salute our flag, give thanks to our troops. If this offends you, you can leave, or as we are known for saying on the show, you can get the fuck out. So we do use adult language on here. It is.
Or get the Fauci out.
Yeah, I'm getting done with that one. No, it's still a funny one, but I'm getting to the place where I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to speaking Anglo-Saxon, and But yes, I enjoy adult beverages. I didn't go see our sponsor tonight, so I'm not even I was like, nah, I'm not even concerned with that tonight. And they're not the only sponsor. I would say JSG Construction, my company, is the main sponsor because I've been the one who's paid for the majority of the gear here. So, but we use adult language. We drink adult beverages. And if this offends some people, obviously I already told you. There's a lot of other things that people get offended by, and it's amazing to me. I'm like, oh, you're offended by this, but you're not offended by all these other things over here. I'm offended when people are harsh with their children. How about that? I'm offended when people are... No. I didn't want to go into that whole teaching because actually, when I say I'm offended, Tim knows this. It's not a trap stick or a stumbling block for me. It bothers me. That's the better terminology. I don't like it. So the only other one, that I really wanted to do was the Bears.
Yeah. Okay.
Just give me the Bears.
The
Bears. Usually Vince does this one, but listen, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Except for Bears. Bears will just kill you. So you gotta be wise out there, and one of the reasons I want to go over that is what I'm about to get into, and that's something Tim and I were talking about earlier today, and I want to revisit that discussion and make sure we vet it out the way that we did earlier today. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, except for Bears. Well, here's the idea: there are a lot of situations in life that seem to be absolute. But then there is a caveat, or there is an addendum, or a stipulation, or is there another word to use? I'm going through my thesaurus in my mind. There's an exclusion. There's something
extenuating circumstance.
Yeah, there's an extenuating. It's like, no, this is absolute. This is the way it's going to happen. No. Okay, but what about this? And they go, oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Exception to the rule. Yeah.
Exception to the rule. So keep an eye on chat over there. I don't want to keep looking back at the other computer for me, buddy. There we go. Okay. But and I don't know why there's trying to see who's in the chat. Yeah. Well, because I can pop it up, but if nobody's chatting yet,
I'm going to try to figure out how to arrange that desktop with the control and the...
Yeah, you can.
I need to be able to see a few things.
Anyway, so I'm looking at a bunch of things, and I'm
There we go.
Got it? Ah, you're able to do it.
Yeah, that way I can see my buttons and you can see chat at the same time.
Right. Yeah, because I'll pop the chat up when I want to share what somebody's chatting, but until then, exactly. You're monitoring the chat. Anyways, that's for you guys out there. So anyways, we're talking about a lot of different stuff and how the direction of the show. And again, I'm kind of getting back to the origin of the show. This is my brain. And I really want to share what's on my heart and mind. I called it This Is My Brain originally because there was that old PSA, this is your brain on drugs. And I'm like, wow, well, you know what? There's a lot of things that we have in our brain, or, that this is your brain on liberalism. This is your brain on communism. This is your brain, and you could do all, we actually shot some videos and never were able to get them where I wanted because I'm a perfectionist. So half my stuff just, sits in the computer dead and then I have to get rid of it. But anyways, the whole idea was this is my brain, but it's really my heart. I'm sharing my heart. I'm sharing the things that I think about. And I wanted to deviate a bunch from just doing church stuff. I'm walking away from the church. That means that if the only thing you see from me is the church platform teaching, you'll get the wrong impression of who I am. And that's not to say that I go out of my way to be non-churchy and anything like that. The guys at the hockey rink call me preacher, a good portion of them, not all of them, but a good portion of them call me preacher. Is there anyone out? Oh, I see you're finding something, huh? Oh, you want to... Are we going to get a copyright strike if we do that?
Is that going to stop you?
No. Did you? How do we pop
I just
that?
wanted to find the URL. I forgot who did it.
Oh, it was an old PSA.
It was that actor's name.
Yeah, the Partners for a Drug-Free America was the old PSA.
Yeah.
Does anybody stand? He's very. Oh, he's like 1980s, extremely condescending and just,
Yeah. What was his name?
I don't know, but
Anthony.
Is it in the? No,
is that his name or is that the?
That's the guy who posted it. Yeah, it's the channel. See the.
Okay.
Click see more and see more. Show more. Right below that, right below the Anthony thing.
Oh,
see if it has a description.
No, there's nothing there.
Oh, show more, show less. Oh, when you click show more, all it did was change to show less.
Show less. Yeah, because there was no details.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people, what demographic understand that origin of your
exactly
of your show.
So again, after 2.5, 3 years of doing the show, I don't even know how long. I don't even remember when. It's been a while, man. I wanted to just point that out and get that out there for a little bit. Yeah, I'm shutting this computer down. I'm still struggling with this thing over here. I wanted to look up a couple more things. And the cool thing is it should restore all the pages that I had open on both websites.
So if I were going to bring anything up on the tower, I'd have to drag it over to the green screen, wouldn't I?
Don't I have that set up in OBS? Click on the bottom.
Yeah, I can't remember if I wanted to do anything with this. It would have had to have been dragged over.
All right, give me the mouse for a second
to show anything.
If you go there.
Oh, then it could be full screened on this monitor.
Correct. That's what I have to do. You have to have it set up over there, or you have to have it.
I see.
Whatever, just that screen that you're maneuvering on would have to have that browser already open, and then you can.
I see.
Yeah, that's the way I have that one set up. And we are going to restore the pages.
And then it becomes a scene you could put in the.
Yeah. The
SSRC, or you'd have to click it.
Yes, if I click it, it does it.
Yeah.
So you have to minimize that.
Right. All right. Well, other than that, I need to get your laptop working, because if I'm going to be pulling up stuff anyway. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, the laptop you're logged into and you're hearing. Yeah. Well, that's what we're doing. I mean, most people, they're.
All right. Oops! I just minimized the wrong window.
Yep.
I can't see. Anyway, back to your brain.
Anyways, yeah, back to my brain, which is all scattered. But I wanted to, the stupid thing's not working over here on this one. I'm just going to unplug it. Not unplug the laptop, but unplug the little, I'll try a different thing. Anyways, this is the way my brain works, where it's all over the place and it's fun. But there's a number of things that I wanted to discuss tonight. And one of the main things that I wanted to look at was one of the scriptures that I was really meditating on and thinking about over the last, I don't know. It's one that I've been studying for multiple years, a good 30 years. I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 this November. And I've been studying scriptures and doing different things for, there we work. There we're working. I had to switch ports. Remember, I only have two. Cool beans. Well, that's working now. All right, so I'll try to find a couple stuff while I'm talking to everybody at the same time. But there's a number of scriptures, and I want to pull up the one to start with. And I'm hoping that's going to work the same way, because all of the other. Yes, thank you, Lord. Where's it at? 1 Corinthians right there. Okay, so 1 Corinthians chapter 14. I study prophecy, the prophetic. I like to say it that way, because when you say prophecy, it tends to be Bible prophecy, and which that means is, a lot of times the vast majority that I've experienced when they say Bible prophecy is they're just taking whatever they can find in Scripture and cross-referencing it with the latest news and saying that, oh, this is about to happen. Okay, well, that's been about to happen for, I don't know, 2,000 years now, ever since that was written. Anyways, I digress. My point is, as soon as this comes up, because it's still loading, all 15 of the tabs that I had open, it's restoring them. It says that prophecy is for edification, encouragement, and comfort. And one of the things I was thinking about is when I'm doing my show, and we want to do a lot more content, a lot of more things. My focus is always I want to encourage and edify and build people up, not just get on here and talk or share my viewpoints or my opinions. I want to encourage people. I want to edify people. Edify means to build up, and I want to comfort people. We're living through a lot of shitty times right now. I mean, some of the articles that I want to go over tonight, there's some pretty bad stuff going on right now in the world, and most people in our audience knows that. But at the same time, it's what do we take away from that? What do we walk away from? Part of the Tuesday night rants has always been, or tries to always be, is that we get on here and we rant and rave about something, but we're doing it in such a spirit as to you get around good friends. I do. I got a lot of good friends, in multiple walks of life, construction area, church, hockey, whatever. We rant and rave to each other periodically in those settings. We're just enjoying ourselves. We're, whatever we're doing. Say I'm with the hockey guys and we're after hockey, and there's times when I'll take my portable grill and I'll cook brats out in the parking lot, or we end up at one of our buddies' house, or we even come back here to the man cave and we're hanging out. And invariably we'll go, can you believe this shit? And we rant for a minute about something that we've observed in life that bothers us. But it's not to, in general, it's not to attack or become angry or get militant about things. It's to express our displeasure over something, and then we've got it off our chest and we can move on. And I think Tim and you and I were talking about that. You had mentioned a book, something about men are spaghetti and women are.
No, the other way around.
Women are spaghetti and men are.
Actually, you should Google that. You should.
The
book is something about men are waffles and women are spaghetti. Just the way we organize.
Okay.
The thoughts that we have in our mind. We compartmentalize as men, and women have a tendency to blend and mingle all their thoughts into one wiggly pool of unorganization.
Yeah.
But they understand it. We don't.
Right. And that was the point of it, was that we tend to, men in particular, tend to vent and get it out there and then move on. And
then put it away in a box.
Yeah, put it away. Yeah.
Put it aside and focus on a different box. Yep.
Yeah, focus on a different box.
You said something about it. It's not on his desk.
Yeah,
it's not on his desk in front of him.
Yeah,
it's not in his field of vision.
In being church leader, I've had multiple times where I've sat with couples, in marriage situations, and have done these sessions with people, and I'm trying to first and foremost get them on the same page of understanding each other, and then secondly, to tackle the problem that they're currently looking at. It's like the first thing we've got to do is get you to understand where you're both coming from. And then after we do that, then we can start to tackle the situation. And there's a lot of exercises. There's a lot of things that people do when they're looking at that stuff. But it's an interesting dynamic. For people to understand that men, we tend to look at our desk and we go, okay, I deal with this and do it. I've told them, I've looked at, the husband sitting across from me in their table and said, said, I'm just getting a text from Frank. Anyways, I've looked at the men across from me and I got a text Frank. He's asking if I started. Yes. Yes. We are podcasting, buddy. Anyways, I've looked across at men and I've said, I've said, have you already had this argument with her and either won or lost and moved on? And probably 85% of the time, the men will shake their head. And so they're actually more annoyed. The 85% of them are more annoyed that they're having to revisit the argument with their wife because they've already dealt with it and they're already moved on. They've already assessed it. They've already dealt with it. Either they won or lost the argument and they've moved on. And yet she wants to walk all the way through it. And he's like, yeah, I've already talked this all out. I don't need to go over this again. You know, you're right. I was wrong. She's like, oh, but I gotta let you know you were wrong. And he's like, okay, I get it. I was wrong, but I moved on, you know? And we don't get that a lot of times, that dichotomy, that difference with people. And it's really important to do. But that's what this venue is for me, is a way for me to express those things, to get them out, to get them, you know, on the desk and then get them moved off the desk, you know? And that's always been my thing, but I have to come back and I was able to pull it up now. I can go to this one. Let's see, where's it at? It's in verse 4. Verse 3, sorry. And I had it highlighted before. See, this is when I had to restart the computer. But when you look at this, it says, he who prophesies speaks for edification, exhortation, and comfort. So in the NIV, it's edification, encouragement, and comfort. So encouragement, exhortation, same thing. But that's what I'm looking to do on the show. And I want to keep going back to that concept or that idea whenever we're talking about things, because I come from a standpoint of I'm not going out of my way to not be religious, because I've had some friends in the past in the church that went out of their way to, they're like, they wouldn't wear nice clothes to church because it made them feel religious.
Kind of a counterculture response.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's dumb. If you went out to eat with your wife, you would put on nice clothes. And I saw, you know, I'm like, dude, if we went out to a nice restaurant, would you put on some nice clothes? Well, yeah, probably. Yeah, I got some, you know, and they didn't have, you know, you wouldn't put necessarily a suit on unless you were going to some place, you know, a high-end steakhouse that required you to have a suit coat. But my point is that they were going out of their way to be non-religious. So much so that it became another form of ritual for them to not be ritualistic. And I'm like, you don't see the balance.
It's funny you mentioned. I have a little story about that.
Go ahead.
Due to the non-conformity, conformity that you find, conformity. We all dress different because this is the way we don't want to conform, but we all look the same.
Right.
I found in a small congregation out on the Oregon coast where I was used to still suiting up.
Right.
And I was enjoying a tie. I was enjoying a jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for 2-3 months attending a congregation that was kind of a you know, not an on the beach church in Oregon, but it was the uniform, you know, cargo shorts, sandals, and a hoodie.
Right.
Until the point where it was, you know, a little bit tongue in cheek, but, you know, a couple of the guys started to jibe me about, you know, looking like a a Mormon or Seventh-day Adventist or, you know, whatever they're talking about.
Right.
So, getting the backwards look was just it kind of caught me off guard and was like weird. I'm like, that is very ironic for you to say that, Pete.
Yeah. I lost your mic. Where'd you go?
No, I just tapped. Pete was the end of the sentence. I tapped it and I'm muted.
Oh, okay. I'm keeping track of you over there. But yeah, that's the interesting thing. So I wore suits for the longest time, and I would get this opportunity, and I was not in churches quite like that on the beach, but definitely churches that were a bit more, business casual. If guys wore a jacket, they might have jacket, a single button suit jacket with with jeans and a pair of loafers. And here I come in with a, not necessarily a three-piece. I didn't have a vest, but I would come in with a double-breasted, really nice suit. I had a number of them. But I would explain to people, I'm like, look, I bought a suit for my pastor years ago because the Lord told me to. Actually, I walked in and bought a suit that I wanted, put it on layaway, and I came back actually, I put it on layaway. I walked out of the store. Hadn't even had it hemmed or anything because they wouldn't hem it until you paid it off. So I went in 1 week and I put money down, half the money, and I walked out. And as I walk out the door, the Lord said, I want you to give that to Pastor Rodriguez. And I said, seriously? He's like, yep, don't hem it. I want you to give it to him. I said, okay. And so I go back the next week, and by that time I'd gotten excited about it, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to give this to my pastor. I want to honor him. And I go back in there and I buy the suit and I present it to him on a Sunday. I didn't do it in front of the service or anything like that. I wasn't trying to, look at me. I did it after service, by his office. I said, hey, I need to see Pastor. And I was pretty close with him, not close, but I was pretty close with him. And, I give him the suit, and the next week I walk into the church in the morning, and his son and one of his son-in-laws corner me and give me 7 wool, like high-end wool Baccarat suits, double-breasted suits, 2 pairs of Baroque loafers, belts, probably 30 silk ties, gorgeous ties. And so it was from that point on for the next 15 years, whenever I had the opportunity to wear those suits, I wore them. Not to show off to anybody, not to do anything, but because I had something that I was blessed with to dress the nines. And I never received a single negative response to my face for wearing my suits in any different environment. And when people did approach me, it was nothing but, man, you're looking great today. And I said, well, I said, thank you. Appreciate that. I said, but I wore it because my father blessed me with this. And I like dressing up. I like wearing nice clothes. And I still like wearing nice clothes today, but it's a little bit different flavor of clothing. Tim, you've seen a bunch of the clothes that some of my shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah, your embroidered shirts and $180 ripped pants. It's like extra $2 for every rip is an extra $2.
Probably an extra $20. Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? Here's the funny thing: those $180 jeans that have the pre-rips in them and are sewn and have the distressed looks to them, have lasted. I have some pairs. I give them away periodically. You just get to a certain point and you find a new pair, and so you bless somebody else with the old pair. Most of the time, my sons. But I have jeans in the closet that I've had for over 10 years that I've worn, not as much. But I have work jeans that were $25, $30 a pair that last a year. Wearing them once a week, and I think
it's the flexible read concept, because the jeans are worn out and they've been flexed to the point that they can take the stress and not break. They're flexible.
Exactly.
They don't have anything else to wear. There's no wear left in them.
Yeah,
so they can't wear out.
Those jeans also have they're like 95% cotton and 5% spandex. So they have a flex to them. And I have had to endure the criticism on those from the guys in the locker room sometimes. They're like, what the fuck's up with the bedazzled jeans, man? And
Are those they're kind of skinny jean cut, right?
No, I got a lot of. I've got one or two pairs that have like a tapered leg, but most of them are like a boot cut. But I just laugh at them and I go, don't try to shame me because you have no sense of style.
Well, maybe it's just no need. Maybe they do have a sense. It's a jealousy thing. It's like they notice that when other people get to wear something, it's like, man, I got no reason to ever wear that.
Right. Well, yeah. A lot of the guys, they're like, yeah, I just put on whatever's there.
Yeah, I've been picking up. I've gone the cargo pant route whenever I have to go out, but again, I'm behind the computers all the time, not working outside.
Right.
So, I have my selection of my, t-shirts and shorts that make it comfortable to work in, that I don't need to concern myself about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fashion or style, but the closet still has 15 shirts and 10 ties and
I've seen you in the
jackets.
You're looking sharp.
It's all there.
Yep. And that's the thing too is who are you dressing for? Who you I've gone to my closet, and this has happened to me for 30 plus years, where I go to the closet and the Lord will say, put that shirt on, or put whatever, not all the time. It doesn't get goofy, but every once in a while, I'm listening, and the Lord will say, put that on. I go, all right, okay. And I don't think much about it anymore because it's happened so often that I just do that. And invariably when I am encouraged by the Lord to put on something specific out of my closet, somebody during the course of that day wearing that shirt or whatever will comment and say, dude, that either whatever it is, it's cool, or it's this or it's that, they'll appreciate it. There was one t-shirt I threw on, had a patriotic slogan, and I went to my closet and I'm like, I'm doing carpentry stuff here for myself, and I know I'm probably going to get a little sawdust and dirt and stuff like that. And I still go in my closet and I'm like, no, I'm going to wear that shirt. And I walk into Home Depot and 3 different people go, dude, I love it, pointing at my shirt. And so you just don't know the effect that you have on people until you start to pay attention and you actively, you do it on purpose. And by that, I mean, I'm not dressing for attention, but I'm dressing knowing that I'm affecting the atmosphere around me, which in and of itself does bring attention, but I'm not doing it to gain attention. I'm doing it because I like what I'm wearing. And I hope it encourages or, sparks something with people, and I've got...
not dressing to impress, but dressing for a purpose. Jeff just rolled into chat to say hi.
Oh, there's Jeff. He said he just got here. Well, you missed the first 40 minutes, Jeff. But that's cool, buddy.
Yeah, I was shooting you a text on the YouTube. The YouTube text isn't coming through onto that feed.
On that feed?
Yeah,
that may be
the other ones are.
Can you open up the Is there a way to open up the YouTube window?
It's weird. I don't know why it's not coming through.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the many things. Maybe YouTube didn't like that I typed in semi-solo. Maybe they thought I was doing some copyright strike or something. They've been getting more and more goofy on their shit. On their banning of people. Anyways, so I wanted to touch on a couple different things tonight, and I want to discuss this. So my overall thoughts is from now on, I'm going to make it a very obvious thing that whatever we're discussing on the show, whatever we're ranting about, whatever we're discussing, we're going to be mindful of edifying, encouraging, and comfort. And we'll see if I got to do a few more solo shows before everybody starts to come back and filter in because of the summer stuff like that. That's great. I've done one of the reasons I like this, and I was so thankful that Tim's available tonight to help me with the show and to chat with me, is that
Ms. Jones popped in.
Oh, Miss Tisha Jones, yeah. If she wouldn't have had a meeting tonight, she'd have been here. Well, see? But you can enjoy it in chat. If I knew how to do Zoom or Skype or any of that stuff with this whole system, we could... I don't even know how to do that. There's like 15 things that I've got to figure out, or Tim's got to help me figure out, or we've got to, get somebody else in there. But yeah, Jeff says Hillary for Prison got a lot of where can I get that shirt at? Yeah, when he went to Walmart. Yeah, of course. That was one of, I think that was either inspired by, or I think Alex Jones was InfoWars was the big one of selling that one. I know he was the impetus of the whole concept of Hillary for Prison. And I saw some guy driving around in a Prius with the lamest attempt at it, and it was Trump for jail. Trump for jail. I'm like, wow, man, you can't even come up. You have to rip off Hillary for Prison with Trump for jail, and it doesn't even flow or so. It's like listen. The conservative people come up with "Let's Go Brandon," Hillary for Prison. These are the type of things that we come up with where when you hear it, you're like, yeah, that one's witty. That one's good. And they come up with Trump for jail. It's like the Hillary for Prison was a play on Hillary for president, you idiot. There was never a Trump for something that would rhyme with jail or even go with jail. It's pathetic attempt, It would it's like if they took, Make America Great Again and somehow slandered that into.
That's funny. Yeah, I was just thinking about how would you do that?
Yeah, how would you do it? But that's what I'm
they tried to say ultra mega as a slam and well, yeah, sure, we'll take that. We'll take the ultra too.
Yeah, we'll ultra make they can't even, that's the problem is, and that's why they block us so many times on all these different platforms, because they lose these meme wars. They don't have the ability to make fun of themselves. They make fun of themselves from a standpoint of some of your best comedians are the ones that are self-deprecating. But they can't make fun of themselves, even though if they took a step back and actually looked at themselves in the mirror, it's fucking hilarious. There was some video that I thought about loading up today, and it's going viral right now. Tim, you may have seen it. It's this chick doing some TikTok or whatever the hell it is. I won't even put TikTok on my phone, but it's going around right now where she's discussing how her and all of her other people that identify as cats and kittens, how they meow to each other, and how they what the different meows mean, so that people understand when they're meowing to each other as people who identify. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Yeah. Type in lady describes how to or what her meows mean as she identifies as a cat person. Cat people.
See, stuff like this makes me wish I had control of your sound deck, because
there's a couple sound bites.
The ignorance one that I added for you.
Yeah. Where's that?
For ignorance.
That's on page 4, right? Yeah.
Putain d'ignorance.
You dumped in your horse. What is that? I still don't know what that means.
Putain d'ignorance.
You dumped in your horse.
Putain d'ignorance.
You dumped in your horse.
French-speaking listeners definitely understand what that's saying.
You dumped in your horse. All right, you just turned on the volume over there.
Definitely understand what that's saying.
What the hell are you doing?
Oh, my bad.
You were messing with the chat, and then see?
Yeah, I tried to turn on the volume of the monitor of me monitoring the show, and I did it on your remote desktop. Yeah, that's classic.
Classic, buddy. But yeah, so there's this whole lady, and she's doing this cat thing, and they played it on. I saw it the other day, and then they played it on. I think the American Journal this morning with Harrison Smith, and then they played it. I think on Alex Jones today, when he had a couple guests on. And this lady literally thinks she identifies as a cat. And so one of the things that I wanted to touch on tonight, as we're looking at at this thing is when you don't know who you are, when you don't go through the process of figuring out who you are, then you will, if you're in a, and I don't mean perverted just in a sexual way, if you are in a perverted mindset, a mindset that is corrupted or that is tainted or has been twisted, you will try to identify with something that gives you some type of validity. And what I want some of the people out there to realize, well, all the people listening to me right now, that you guys get this, but is that if you don't have, I was trying to bring it up. Let's see. Oh, yeah. There we go. I'm gonna bring up the scripture and quote it to, or give it to you guys. When you don't know who you are, and this is your first spiritual battle, okay? When you don't know who you are, you are subject to deception and perversion, twisting, all of these other things in your life to try and keep you from stepping into who you're supposed to be. Because we all come into this world as hypocrites, as ignorant of our purpose people. And by hypocrites, I mean the original Greek understanding of hypocrisy, which is to pretend to be something you're not, or an actor. I was
trying to scratch that. Hypocrisy, that's right.
Yeah, hypocrisy. Yeah. So when you're pretending to be something that you're not, that's a hypocrite. Well, there's two types of hypocrites, mainly. There's ones who know that they're pretending, and then there are the vast majority of people out there who are hypocritical because they don't know anything else. They're pretending to be something, but that's because they don't know what else. They haven't figured out what to be, who they are, who they really are. In Jeremiah chapter 1, the Lord's calling Jeremiah as a prophet. He's like 17 according to archaeological scholars, and he says, I'm a young man. He says, don't say that to me. This is the Lord having a conversation with him, and he says, before I formed you in the womb, I called you and appointed you to be a prophet to the nations. And here's Jeremiah going, I don't know if I don't know who, he's figuring it out. And what's awesome is the Lord said, I called you to be a prophet to the nations before I formed you in the womb. And they go through this little bit of back and forth, but it gets settled in his heart. Okay, this is who I am. So you fast forward many years later and many chapters later into the text, and you see Jeremiah in prison having the shit kicked out of him by any number of kings or people in charge who don't like what he has to say, what he's speaking the Lord. In fact, he even laments. He's like, every time I open my mouth to say what God's telling me to say, I get beat. But okay, I can't keep it up. It's like a fire shut up in my bones. I think I'm quoting that one because I mix up Isaiah sometimes or Ezekiel, but I'm pretty sure that was the Jeremiah one. Fire shut up in my bones. Anyways, why are you sending me Pee Wee Herman stuff, Jeff? He's sending me instant messenger stuff. Anyways, so it's so important to know who we are and what we were created to do. And that doesn't mean, like I was talking at the beginning of the show, it doesn't mean you become religious about this stuff. It doesn't mean you become something different than who you were, it doesn't mean you become this, there's a certain flavor of religiousness that as soon as I hear it, man, it just turns my stomach and I want to go, seriously, be a real person. Whatever that fake shit is you got on your face right now, stop it. Be a real person, and it's amazing to me when people shed that religiousness, but keep their relationships and their principles, if you will say it that way, without being, brother, that's not the way we really should do it, man. It's like, come on, dude. When you smashed your thumb, you were, I've watched them. I've watched people that are the most religious get into a really tight situation and just have these epic meltdowns. And then they look over at you and go, oh, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't try to be something that I'm not. I'm trying to be my better self every day, But I'm not trying to be something that I'm not and putting on a religious face while I'm walking around. I'm putting on my face. Actually, I'm not even putting on my face. I'm just showing you my face. This is who I am. This is what I like to do. I like to enjoy adult beverage. Do I skip days? Do I need it? No, I don't need it. I quit drinking Mountain Dew as a habitual habit about a month and a half ago. You know, I was addicted to that for years. Tisha knows. Let me catch up on chat real quick. Let's see here.
Yeah, you got Jeff.
Yeah.
And Tisha.
Yeah, I covered Jeff with the Hillary prison, but Jeff says the devil cannot create anything original. That's right. That's why he tries to use tries to deceive us, because when we don't know who we are, we still operate in authority. And then Tisha says, yeah, total identity crisis. But this lady's on there, and I don't know if you were able to find it. I didn't pull it up, Tim. I thought about pulling up this video, but I've watched it twice. You guys want to check it out? There's a video. Just type in "cat lady teaching people what their meows mean." It's pathetic. But you look at all these transgenders. You look at all this other stuff. There was what was it? The transgender. This is.
You want to go to that laptop?
This is a guy. This is a dude. Yeah. Okay, acting like a woman. This is the health secretary, Admiral Rachel Levine. It's a dude. She never served. It never served in the military. It's a. If they did, it was never. It was either way. The appointment as an admiral is a ceremonial appointment. It was never achieved, and it's ridiculous. And what they're advocating is transgender health secretary says Biden White House will empower children to get puberty blockers and sex change surgery. Well, what the fuck are kids doing? Kids before 12, 13 shouldn't even be confronted with sex. And if they are confronted with the concepts of sex, it should be on a farm. To be quite frank. You want your kids to learn about farming or about sex, okay? You talk to them when they've reached a level of maturity, and before that time, you take them to the farm. Okay?
Oh, you're talking husbandry. Okay.
Yes.
For a second there, that could have sounded wrong. I was like, what is it?
I'm talking about if you want kids to figure out where babies come from, take them to a farm and let them see where baby animals come from. And they start to get a real good concept, and there's no longer a taboo about it, and they get a good idea. Okay? My kids figured out, oh, so that's where puppies come from. When the male and the female dog that we had at the time got together. And they went, oh, okay. Life lesson. But I grew up on a farm from the ages of 10 to 19, you know? Now I had other issues, other exposures in my life that I had to deal with previous to that. But I watched most of the farm kids around me. There was no taboo. There was no misunderstanding of what was going on. You're like, okay, well, that happens right there. And that's the result over there, how many ever months later, depending on the critter that did that first thing. And there it is. Okay, wow. But
yeah, I think if you're establishing a biological procreation foundation to the act, you're doing your offspring a favor, because that's what it's for, instead of teaching. What is the tweet I saw the other day where this educator was looking forward to the next curriculum of pleasure-based education in the sex ed class, which totally throws a... what is the scripture that says something about awakening something early?
Oh, yeah, do not awaken love early.
Yeah.
I think that's Song of Solomon, but yeah, there's that one specifically meaning don't you need a little bit more foreplay. That was between consenting adults. But yes.
True. Yeah.
Yes.
Setting that foundation is
absolutely
definitely doing
absolutely. And realize again, you're talking about a society that, I mean, it's so nonchalant when they read through the scriptures, that all of the sex, I mean, just all around, good, bad, and ugly, that was going on. I mean, it's like you read about, and Rahab the prostitute, she sent him off in a different direction, and she was commended as one who was righteous. And nobody has a concept of, okay, when the guys were hiding out at her place, the spies going into to spy out the land, I mean, did they just accidentally end up in a brothel? I mean, or was that an on-purpose stop on their way to investigate the Promised Land?
Interesting question.
I mean, I'm just saying. But either way, it doesn't belong in the schools, and what they're doing with our kids is because kids don't know who they are, they're discovering it. They're trying to get them before they get a chance to figure it out. And our parents today, the vast majority of our society is either averse to discussing purpose and destiny because they don't have their own, or they don't care. It's very rare to find a parent that actually encourages their child in discovering their purpose. They may want them to discover a purpose they think they should walk in, or some forgotten glory that they lost, or some other thing. I've got a couple buddies that I've watched, I've observed them not push their kids, but empower their kids to pursue their own things in life. And some of the things are things that the parents enjoy, that they also partake in. But the kids are pursuing it from their own pure pursuit, their own pure interest in that thing. Obviously they grew up around it, but they're pursuing it on their own. And that's in today's day and age, especially in the Western world, there's so many opportunities and so many things out there that it's very rare. It's very rare that parents get into a place where they're encouraging their kids in a positive way to seek purpose, because they're so distracted by so many things, and most parents, again, don't know who they are. I have to watch how I ask people things, not for fear or anything like that, but I'll say to people, what do you do for work? Not what do you do for a living? Because what you do for a living that makes you alive could be your job, but many times it's not. You go to work to get some money so that you can then do your living. I've got buddies that they've got real good jobs, and they can't wait to get out of that job and go to their cabin on the weekend, or go to their lake house, or go, whatever. Summertime, they're going to the lake, and in wintertime, they're getting on their snowmobiles. That's their living. That's what they're doing for a living. But going and making money, that just empowers them to go and do their living. So I even watch the way that you say that, because you can have those conversations that get you into a place of purpose, or you can have those conversations that get you locked into a mindset that somehow the job is your purpose. And I don't know if the statistics still running around, but there's a good, there used to be, and I used to be able to pull it up, but there was a statistic of how many people died on a Monday morning within a couple weeks of retiring from, that 40-hour shop job, or whatever, 40-year shop job.
I think that also included the statistics of what days of the week most likely for heart attacks. It's Monday.
It's Monday, yeah.
For those who are still on the job.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about the retirees was that they, what they attributed it to was a loss of purpose, that they no longer had a purpose to get up. And I was talking with a good friend of mine after hockey one night. We were just all hanging out, which we do on a regular basis after hockey. And that's what I love. I love having an adult beverage and hanging out in the parking lot with the guys. And sometimes it's just guys. It can get a little, you know, it can get some raunchy stuff and, oh, check her out and all that stuff like that. But I get so many opportunities to just encourage my buddies, you know, and laugh with them and have a good time. And I'm out there with my one buddy, and he brought something up, and he was talking about his dad. And I said, man, I said, well, he says, yeah, mom's really struggling with dad because he's this and this and this. And I said, he needs to, and he just started to describe to me what his dad used to do for work. And so now he's home, he's retired, and he's constantly underfoot. And his mom, you know, his wife, my buddy's mom, is just, you know, frustrated with him. And I said, so when he was working, he had this, and this. And he's like, yeah. And I said, then your dad needs to have a schedule. He needs to get up, drink his coffee, do whatever he does for breakfast like he would normally do. And then he needs to go out on Tuesdays, and he needs to go into the back acreage and cut trees. And then, you know, by noon, he needs to come up and he needs to do this. And I said, whatever his the things that need to be done around the house, he needs to put them into a regimented schedule, because that will give him purpose. I said, but that's not all of it. You need to talk to him about purpose. I said, but that's going to, and my buddy's looking at me, goes, dude, I got to talk to, and I said, have your mom help put the schedule together, because he's not dealing with dementia. He's not dealing with, you know, some of the other things he's just retired and underfoot. He's a man who used to get up and work 40, 50 hours a week at a job for 40 years. And now he's home. And if you don't have hobbies and chores to do, that's one thing. But if you don't have a regimented set of things that need to be done, it could create conflict. You need to expend that energy. You know, we say a lot of times, it's one of the most, I'll say it's one of the most raw things that you can do. Raw or what's raw? There's a better word than raw. Most grounding activities is just to get out and do some hard work, some manual labor. What's a good word for that, Tim, other than raw?
Well, usually it's centering, but...
Yeah, centering's a good idea, but just that when you get into just doing some manual labor, you know, it's there's some reward into it. I've had so many times where we had to do something.
Grounding would be the other one.
Yeah. But you had to do something. I mean, even just helping, even pulling over on the side of the road and helping somebody that's stuck in, you know, that you know, got stuck in the ditch or, you know, whatever. And you help somebody for 10, 15 minutes and you get them dug out and they're back on the road and you give them a high five and they offer you $20 and you go, no, it doesn't. And you walk away from it going, that right there was fulfilling, just helping, just doing something where I had to push on a car, you know? And it's like...
Funny, you mentioned this. A similar situation arose with my 72-year-old mother who, she has always had what we call eating elephant mentality. She always had to have some large yard project or something going on that she could just engage into. And this relates, it's funny you go this direction because this is a big topic for what I've always tried to, preach, for lack of a better term. Is understanding what kind of mentality you have in your work. If you've ever read Robert Kiyosaki, just the nature of your mindset of needing a set of tasks instructed to you by someone else who's making the decisions, because you just need to zone out and do your job. As an employee, you do it well. You can get paid very well for doing it, but that's an employee mentality. Somebody that then retires and nobody is around to tell them what to do unless there's a honey-do list that somebody sets up.
Right.
That can happen.
Yep.
Now, my father, who was a little bit of a grass is greener entrepreneur, seeker kind of situation, he was continually pursuing something. And finally, the last attempt at his last business endeavor, when it failed, he lost the passion for pursuing that next endeavor. And he was done. He was dead the next summer, and not really for any reason other than I think it was a broken heart.
Broken heart, yeah. Broken dreams, yeah. What's it say? Hope deferred makes the heart sick. That's in Proverbs. Hope deferred makes the heart sick.
Oh, and without a vision, my people perish.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And there's too little understanding of that, that concept or that idea and grasping it. But going back and seems like Mr. Graham has found the video. I think he's got a guy with a Terrence. I don't know Terrence. It's not the pure video, but it's a guy doing this. So I'm going to click on it and see what kind of dangerous stuff we get on here. If it's going to load, it's on the other laptop. Let's see. I think it's on your laptop, which should, or not on your laptop, but yeah, it's another TikTok.
We'll probably run an ad first if it loads.
No.
Okay, hi guys. So my name's Dasha. I'm a furry, and I'm going to be teaching you guys some ways that my friends and I meow to one another to communicate when words just seem a little too difficult. So here we go. Okay, so first off, we have the normal meow that we just use mostly to get each other's attention. Meow. Okay, then we have the dissatisfied meow. Then the angry meow, but we only use this one on rare occasions because overall we're a very happy kitten family. Then the happy or content meow. Meow. Okay, then one of the most important ones for our kitten family is the I want to go potty meow. It took me a really long time to master this meow because it needs to be really specific in order for my kittens to understand.
For her kittens.
Meow. Okay,
wow.
This is the most important meow for me, and it's the I need help wiping meow. Okay, and last but definitely not least is our in Heat Meow, and we use this when we need a little bit more special kitten attention.
Exactly. This is the
Oh, meow.
Oh, meow. Okay. So
his face was that's
dude,
that's perfect.
And I hadn't seen that one before, but thank you, Jeff, for sending that to me because and I'm going to exit out of this before it plays something that gets us a copyright strike. Let's see. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my camera. There we go. But thank you, Jeff, for sending that. But that's the video, and that guy I didn't see that part of it before. But yeah, that guy on the side with the mega hat was awesome. But yeah, that's what we're talking about with people that don't know who they are. They don't understand their purpose, and so they gravitate to these just extremes of crazy shit. And how many, Tim, can you look up the stat real quick for me? How many Muslims are there in the world today? How many identify as belonging to the Muslim religion? I want to say it's upwards of 2 billion, maybe 1.8 billion Muslims. And I just want to do a quick contrast once you get the number for me, because I want to just here's a woman who is so bought into being a cat as a human being and has lost her soul to the point that they don't think it's the dumbest fucking thing that they've ever done or something you do on Halloween. They literally think that it is their normal. And that is the loss of a soul. That is somebody who has they're gone. I'm not saying that they can't come back, but right now they're out there. I mean, the piercings, and I mean, these people will go through they'll get whiskers put in their face. They'll get all sorts of stuff. And, you know, that's just on these furries. That's what they call themselves, the whole group of furries. In fact, one of the articles that was tied to that girl that I failed to bring up today, they're putting litter boxes in the bathrooms of schools for kids who identify as furries so that they can take a shit and piss in a giant cat litter box because they identify as a cat. And somehow we're enabling people to think that this is normal. Did you find that? 1.8. Okay. Yeah, 1.8.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought it was upwards, closer to the 2 billion, but yeah, it's 1.8. So 1.8, and we are a total population of about 8 billion right now, 7.8 billion total worldwide. Okay. So we're about a third, maybe at least 25%, maybe 30% in between there. I was supposed to say 24%.
Is Islamic? It's the 24%.
24% is Muslim, Islamic.
31% Christianity.
Okay, 31% Christianity. Okay, so I want to how many countries? Does it say how many countries?
26 countries
in Asia. Sub-Saharan are specifically officially Muslim countries, but Muslim populations throughout the world. So what I want people to realize is that in 26 countries throughout Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, North Africa, and the Middle East.
What's that belt?
If you walked in there pretending to be a cat, they would throw you off a building to your death.
Oh, heck yeah.
No question, no ifs, ands, or buts. Okay? They would literally just kill you for being a freak. And somehow it has become so perverted, the freedom and prosperity that we have in this country, and specifically this country, but Western worlds, that people think they're not only think of that is normal to be a cat, pierce themselves all up, do all those things. But they also have the resources to do it. I've seen them where they've got cheek implants and whiskers and tattoos everywhere. And I'm just looking at them going, where the fuck are you getting this money? Because I need new cameras on my podcast. You know? And I'm like, it's just amazing to me. From a standpoint of WTF moments, not a standpoint of, wow, you're doing such a great job. But from the furries, to the Leah Thomas, okay, pretending to be a girl swimmer and getting, where's the thing right here? This is the NCAA Woman of the Year is Leah Thomas. That's the NCAA Woman of the Year.
They actually give it to her?
Yeah.
Him? It?
Are you fucking kidding me? And so when you don't know who you are...
Wait, or is that just a political cartoon?
It's a political cartoon, but it was announced today.
Yeah.
It was announced today or yesterday. If you want to look it up and confirm it for me, but yeah. It was announced. And so that's what I'm like... The reason that stuff can occur is because people have lost their sense of or not even lost. They haven't even attempted to gain the sense of who they are, of trying to find their true purpose, you know? So they've gravitated to it. I remember when goth was a rebellious thing. Now it's a style. I remember when, the gay and homosexual communities were
just nominated, by the way, by University of Pennsylvania.
Just nominated, not official yet.
Just nominated.
Okay. And I don't know why I'm fucking with the camera, but I felt like doing it. Okay, just nominated.
Yeah, by Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
U of P.
Okay. So it hasn't officially happened yet.
No.
Yeah. Well, it's about to. Unless enough people. Well, I know that Leah. What is Leah's actual name? Chick with a dick. I don't know what the actual name is.
I have to look it up.
Yeah. Anyways, it's irrelevant. The point is that it's ridiculous what's going on. Here you have a group of people, and I'm collectively putting them all together, a group of people, okay? the transgenders, the non-binaries, the he, she, they, them, all that bullshit. The furries, the identify as ... Okay, you have a whole group that 50 years ago would have been diagnosed and put into a mental health program. Now, would have been a good program? Would have been any helpful program? Maybe not. We've done some atrocities. We've done some pretty fucked up things with sterilizing Down syndrome kids and lobotomizing people who had depression. There's been some really bad shit. But we certainly wouldn't have put them on a pedestal and said, this is the new normal. And whether it was 50 years ago or today, we still are not pursuing purpose individually. We're not encouraging people to find out who they are and really get into that. And that's what bothers me with a lot of this stuff is we're not doing this. In fact, here's an article right on the front page of InfoWars, and it says gender activists say that archaeologists should stop identifying ancient human remains as male or female. What? But that's the shit that they're doing. They're saying you should stop that. Well, you know what? How do they know that Lucy was Lucy in the fake stuff that they came up with, except that Lucy supposedly had, it was all a hoax anyways to push evolution, but
yeah, depending on how you want to frame that.
But either way, they said we knew it was a female Lucy.
But what if Lucy didn't identify?
Yeah, I don't know.
As female.
But either way, because of the hips.
Maybe she identified as Lou.
Could have been. I'm not going to disagree with you. You know, it could have been a he, she, they, them, it, clown, fucking world. I don't know. I'm going to have another drink.
His first name, original name was William, by the way.
Oh, William, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I pulled up chat real quick to check it. But that's so I'm looking at a number of these things as we're moving through a lot of the shit that's going on, and I'm looking at this and I want to get into the spiritual warfare a little bit more tonight. So keep me on track, Tim, because I didn't print out a paper to write notes for myself. But you know, we're looking at all of this stuff, and I go, it's a lack of purpose. But how do we get to purpose? You know, when we're looking at a swimmer who thinks that they're, you know, or at least identifies as a woman. No, you were a subpar athlete that couldn't compete with the men, and you figured, hey, I'll go change in the girls' locker room since that's the current thing being pushed or floated right now, and it'll be allowed, and I'll actually win. I mean, when you look at this person up on the platform after they've won a race, they are in their glory, achieving whatever. And it's like, they don't realize. They're so deceived and not realizing how pathetic they are. Dude, I will never be an NHL goalie. Never happen. Okay? But I go and play hockey with my buddies every week. But I'll never be an NHL goalie. I'm gonna do the best I can out there. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with my buddies, but I'll never be an NHL goalie. And I'm not gonna go and identify as a woman in order to win at the women's NHL goalie team because I missed my glory because I was never played. It's just the stupidest shit out there. This person didn't even qualify for most of the big races before identifying as a woman. And now Leah Thomas is beating the shit out of all these girls. It's ridiculous. But it comes back to fundamentally, this person doesn't know who they are. Fine. You don't know who you are. We're all have to figure that out. We all have to work through our own upbringings, our own societal and house You know, the shit that happens in your own home with your own family and the stuff that happens in your neighborhood and happens in your school. Everybody's got to work through all that shit, okay? Could be bad, could be good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, you got to work through that shit, all right? But when you get empowered in that deficiency, that's where society has gone astray. And that's what's happening right now with these furries, with the he, she, they, them identifications. You're being empowered in that deficiency, in that perversion, to the point that you feel empowered to be fucked up. That should be the quote of the night, I guess. When you feel empowered to be fucked up, there's something going wrong with the society. We've always had issues. I think you and I talked about this a few weeks ago, Tim, but it always bothers me when people compare America to Sodom and Gomorrah. And I go, oh, you're going to compare America to Sodom and Gomorrah? And they go, oh, yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah. America's the new Sodom and Gomorrah. No. In Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham prayed and said, and God said to him, God said to him, he said, I'm going to destroy Sodom, so go get Lot. And he says, Lord, but if there's 50 righteous people, would you not destroy it? He says, if there were 50. And he says, okay, Lord, if there's 45. And he goes down through the numbers and he gets to the last, and he's like, Lord, if there's just 5 righteous people. And basically the Lord, and I'm paraphrasing, you can go read it for yourself in Genesis, but he says, just go get your boy out of there. There's not anybody other than Lot and his 2 daughters that are worth saving. The 2 angels show up and the entire city comes out and is basically beating down his door to rape them. Well, so when people compare America to Sodom and Gomorrah, I go, you're missing context. There's a good 98% of the population of this country that are decent. Let's put it that way. Not perfect. There's some shitheads out there. There's some assholes. There's this 2%, maybe 3%, that are the deviant ones that we've allowed, that have wormed their way into power, that are trying to, dress up as a, let's see, where is it at? Let me go back to the Rachel Levine, or I closed it out. I closed out the Rachel Levine, the dude who thinks he's the Admiral Rachel Levine. But those are the vast minority. Now they're pushing it in the media and acting like there's more of them. But when you do the numbers, we've done some of the numbers on the show here. We've pulled up the numbers. What is the gay population in America is like, what, 0.2% or 0.3% or something like that? That actually, I don't want to pull up. I don't really want to say numbers because, I could be getting them wrong. But it's very small. It's very, very. And then you look at, I just went and saw the new Thor movie. Vince and Bubby and I and the kids, William and Jocelyn, we all went and saw the new Thor movie, okay? Well, at a certain point in the movie, Korg, the rock guy, you find out that his race only has one gender, male. Okay, well, that's technically whatever you would call that, non-binary or gay. And then you already could make the assumption, but the Valkyrie girl, I guess the Valkyrie were all lesbians, just like the Amazons, even though that's not true historically, culturally. But they've made them all, lesbians now. So when you have 4 main heroes that are battling to save the world from the bad guy, and half of them are homosexual or non-binary, you are, and they insert that shit on purpose, they're misrepresenting the true demographics of the world. And they're trying to bring about perversion. It used to be that TV shows and movies were for escapism, they were for entertainment value, and they were for social commentary. Now it's social coercion, it's social indoctrination, it's injecting these ideas. And they're able to do it, these vast majority, this small minority on the vast majority, they're able to do it because people aren't speaking up and people aren't calling it out. They're enabling a person like Leah Thomas to go out there and the media, I've seen them where these reports and they're celebrating this dude. Like, dude, he's standing there on the podium with his dick tucked back. What are you talking about? The other girls that have to swim with him on the team are feel ashamed that they have to point out that he walks around with his cock hanging out while he's in the locker room. And we're empowering that shit, and we wonder what's going on. Now, that's not Sodom and Gomorrah. That's fucked up, but it's not Sodom and Gomorrah. It means that there are a lot of people that just need to get up in their own purpose. And I think that's the big thing. What were you going to say, Tim?
Well, just out of curiosity, because you had mentioned it, and I've heard different sports commentators mention it before. What was Williams' scores on some of his main events prior to becoming Lisa?
It was horrible.
And I found it.
Yeah.
And, well, the NCAA record for, say, the free 500 swim is 4 minutes, 6 seconds. His best time was 4 minutes, 43 seconds.
Dude.
A full 30 plus seconds slower on the free 500. His 1,000, his best score was 9 minutes, 15.52 seconds. And the NCAA record for the 1,000 for men is 8 minutes, 33 seconds, a full 45 seconds faster.
Yeah, he was not.
So he was probably nowhere in the competitive field.
No, he was nowhere in the competitive field. So he switches and says, I identify as a woman. And now he's standing there on the podium with this shitty grin on his face.
6'3".
And shoulders like a fucking brick house. I mean, come on. At what point do you call this dude out? And say, dude. And in the interviews, he says, I still like girls. It's like...
So if there were hormone tests for juicing in competitive sports that, actually measured testosterone level in females.
Yeah.
Is a female birthed with all the female parts able to have the testosterone levels in her body equivalent to what Thomas has and still compete legally? Because
no,
his body is making it naturally.
In so many, what did they have to do with the Olympic Committee? Was the Olympic Committee that had to come out and say, if you do not, I think it should come down to this. It's simple. I don't give a fuck what you identify as. What are your XY chromosomes? You got an XX or XY? Done.
Yeah.
It's a simple DNA chromosome test. Okay, now you've got this. And I say that from the standpoint of this, is there are, what is it? I don't even know what the statistic is nowadays, but there's a million or 2 million people out of 7.8 billion, okay, that are hermaphroditic. All right? That have
there's
either...
your LGBTQ number, the graph for identifying population. 2012, 3.5% of the population identified as LGBT.
Okay.
And it's gone up to 2
5.
years ago by 2.1%.
Yeah.
By 2020 to 5.7. And I think this article says, I think I saw an article that
5.6
jumped to potentially 7% in the United States.
Okay.
But that's not globally. Like there it is, 7.6%.
Yeah. 7.6
heterosexuals.
Yeah. And I would say that even that is suspect. That statistic is suspect because it's become so popular to identify. But okay, let's take the 5%, 5.6%. Okay, fine. It's certainly not 50% that I saw in Thor. If we're going to talk about representation, it's ridiculous. We've got to have, and they're doing it all the way around. They're trying to, and they're using people's lack of purpose, not knowing who they are, to divide and conquer to divide us over these just stupid fucking things. It's like, what? You're a cat, and if I don't acknowledge you being a cat, and I don't recognize that your meows mean you want your ass scratched a certain way, that somehow I'm disrespecting you. That's the shit that they're coming up with. That's the things that they're coming out with on a regular basis. Is if you don't recognize my pronouns, my he, she, they, them, it's like, then you're just disrespecting me. No, I'm not buying into your bullshit. Okay? I have said sir and ma'am most of my life because that's the environment I was brought up with. So when I say to somebody, yes, sir, and I've had a few occasions where another adult man will say, don't call me sir, that was my father. And I'm like, I call everybody sir, it's a sign of respect. It hasn't, I'm not genuflecting or doing some other shit with you. It's how I operate. And it's to the point where they don't do it as often, but my sons and my grandson's around me on a regular basis, and he'll do something, and I'll say, thank you, sir. And he'll say, you're welcome, sir. Now, he doesn't do that with a lot of other people, but he knows with Grandpa that Grandpa just uses that terminology, okay? So if you want to identify as a he, she, they, them, or whatever the fuck it is, don't walk around with a chip on your shoulder if other people don't get it. Because that's not fucking normal. You're trying to make it normal so that everything becomes perverted, and you don't have to be faced with the fact that you don't know who you are. Truly. Oh, I know who I am. I'm a they, them. Yeah, okay. Tim, why don't you pull up the statistics for the suicide rate in the LGBT community?
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's a lot higher than 5.6% of the population, isn't it? It's one of the highest rates out there of any given group, is the LGBT community. And those who have gone under gender reassignment, actual surgeries, are one of the highest groups within the LGBT community. And they don't want to talk about that. And what it speaks to is mental instability. But we're going to act like things are normal and empower people to be abnormal and think that they can cope with that. Instead of going, wake the fuck up and really figure out who you are. And if you identify your entire existence by your sexual preference and you don't see a problem with that, my sexual preference is my wife, okay? But that is not the totality of who I am as a person, as my identification. And that's one of the perversions of this. They're walking around going, I identify as this or that, and they're trying to push it on the kids. That's the most disgusting thing. And they're pushing on the kids so they can get them all fucked up, get them on these drugs, and then ultimately it leads to pedophilia. Half these people that I look at that are in the public eye that are transgender or whatever look like pedophiles or have already been convicted as pedophiles. And you don't like that because you're a pedophile. If somebody doesn't like that. Well, that's not true. Hey, I've met a bunch of gay or lesbian people. I've hung out with a number of people at parties or gatherings or stuff like that. And I've met some really grounded gay and lesbian people. Very few, but I've met some. And they understand that their choices in life are difficult and that they are not the norm. The ones that are not militant and assholes. The ones who are militant and assholes, I just feel like, who are you trying to convince here? Are you trying to convince me or you? Because I don't have to come in and try to convince you of all the things that I believe. I could give two shits whether you believe what I believe. I live a really good life. I'm blessed. Is there more things I'd like to achieve? Can I be my better self tomorrow and the next day? Absolutely. Am I working towards that? Absolutely. But overall, I'm happy. I can lay my head on the pillow knowing that I at least made the attempt to do my best this day. You know, I always feel a shortcoming of not achieving exactly what I want. But what do you got over there, Tim?
That's just your standard Wikipedia.
Suicide Prevention Resource Center estimates that between 5 and 10% of LGBT youth, depending on age, I guess I can switch over, have attempted suicide. 1.5 to 3
times higher than heterosexual youth.
Yeah.
What's interesting, for higher mental health problems among gay teenagers compared to heterosexual peers has been attributed to minority stress because their identity is not majorly accepted across the country. That's why they're more stressed out.
Right.
And because they're not accepted, they feel they're not loved because they feel they're not loved because of who they say they are.
Right. See if you can find the one of those who it's hard to find sometimes because they block shit, but see if you can find the
transgender one. Those who there was a story of one gal who we actually had the honor of hosting for a speech.
Yeah.
In the organization I work with.
Transitioned and then transitioned back later and said it was a big fucking mistake.
Or couldn't because.
Oh, couldn't. Yeah, right. Because
yeah. She had her reproductive organs removed.
Mm-hmm.
And went back on it.
So that person in particular had an addictomy and then couldn't subtract addictomy? To be graphic.
Yeah, I'm
trying to remember the reverse. I'm trying to remember the reversal just for the sake of it. So
she had her uterus and her ovaries removed.
This person was originally a female
and wanted to become a male.
So
then realized she made a mistake.
Correct.
And now cannot have a family.
Are they even able to have? Is she even able to have intercourse or have a sexual encounter, orgasm?
With she's a great gal, great lady, and without being myself and using that opportunity to say the joke in our conversations, I didn't get to that base.
Okay.
So
I'm just curious because a lot of them are that have transitioned and then woke the fuck up and said this was a mistake.
Yeah.
A lot of them have spoken out and said, I can no longer achieve a sexual pleasure of any kind because they fucked me up.
Of the surgery.
Yeah. And that was, who was it? Somebody just recently said something about Elliot Page. I think it was one of the doctors. Said something, tweeted about it. It was what Elliot Page just went through in this gender reassignment. The former Ellen Page, which I thought Ellen Page was a cute little girl, did a bunch of cool movies, a bunch of quirky but interesting movies, and now she's Elliot. And I go, okay, and somebody, a well-known doctor, tweeted out that this was a mistake and that she was butchered illegally.
Wow.
And they got booted off of Facebook or not Facebook, Twitter and whatever, and a bunch of other stuff. And I watched, I think it was Steven Crowder, went through the statistics, and it was like 50%, over 50% of the people that have gender reassignment have like extreme complications. Like after they have the surgery, they can't piss correctly. They can't because it's all messed up. And they went through like there was like 6 different categories of things that they couldn't do. Like never able to achieve orgasm after the surgery. They piss incorrectly. They have infections, huge, like major infections, and end up losing their entire organs or have other death,
life-threatening
thank you. Yeah. Life-threatening issues. And it's like, what the person was tweeting about was exactly right. It was like, dude, you performed the surgery and you didn't did you warn this person of all of these complications that are not rare? These are statistics. These are real things that happen to people when they transition. And I'm calling you out for being a butcher because some of the procedures are not, they have to go out of country. Now, we know our medical community is kind of fucked up in this country. They don't want to allow you to have anything that's not, chemicals or cutting. But at the same time, there are some things that, you go out of country to get done because nobody should be doing them. What the fuck are you doing? Yeah.
Mangala level stuff.
Yeah. I mean, these people, what is the one group of people that, they get amputations so that they can be taken care of. What do they call them? They're called something funky.
Oh.
They're like cubies or something. It's just fucking weird. They get their arms and legs amputated so that they can then be tended to and taken care of for the rest of their life. There's literally a group of people out there. If you guys don't believe me, I'm sure we'll find it here in a second. But there's a group of people, and I'm trying to remember what they're called, what they call themselves.
Body integrity identity disorder? BID?
Yeah, but they have
desire amputation of one or more of their healthy limbs.
But what are the ones that take off their arms and legs altogether? They call themselves something. That specific ones that are that extreme that they have their arms and legs amputated. They have a little, not an acronym or something like that, but a title that they give themselves.
Like furries.
Yeah, like furries. Yeah, it's like you're like, what the fuck did, they call it, I want to say cubes, but that's not it. It's something like that, though. It's box people or some shit. It's weird. It's like, dude, are you serious? You had healthy arms and legs taken off so that you could then be taken care of and had your ass wiped for the rest of your life? What? Are you, and fed like a baby? It's like basically they've put themselves into a place where they become a baby again, where they have to be tended to 24 hours a day. And that's their fetish. That's their fucked up thing. I mean, we know of people that have blinded themselves in order to, for whatever fucked up reason. But those things in and of themselves are not the issue. There's always been people that are self-destructive or have their own kinks, have their really bad kinks. When it becomes socially acceptable and even pushed in society that is the new normal, that's when we've got to start saying, hey, there's a mental health issue. There's some real issues going on. And so that's what I wanted to get into a little bit more with the spiritual warfare aspect of this dynamic. But I got to touch on this real quick. It says in Romans chapter 10, it says, for they being ignorant, this is talking about Israel, Israel in specific, but in fact, I'll read it from verse 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer for God for Israel is that they may be saved. For I bear them witness that they have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. Now listen to that: a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. So the Israelites were extremely zealous for God, but it wasn't based on real knowledge, gnosis, knowing. And that's what we got a lot in today's societies. You've got a lot of people that are very zealous in their abortion rights and in their LGBTQ communities and their furries and all this other weird shit. Okay, or just straight up murder in the case of the abortions. And it's amazing when they actually will show these people the abortion, when they show them an actual abortion, how many people stop being advocates for abortion? It's amazing. And you only end up with the really psychotic, militant ones. And I've seen it done very tastefully, very honorably, where they go in there and they say, can I just ask you to watch a video? And they go, wow, up until this point I was pro-choice, but that's, you know, once there's a heartbeat and the baby's hearing music and dancing in the womb, it's like, yeah, that's murder. Yeah, it is. And if you want to cite the less than 1% of rape and incest, fine. Let's do it on a case by case rape and incest. Let's deal with that situation. I think it's quite not amusing, but quite, what would you say, ironic that this 10-year-old who was supposedly raped and then had to cross state lines to get an abortion because Roe v. Wade was overturned. It's all blown up in their face, and found out that it was an illegal alien that was apparently just being, the 10-year-old was just being prostituted out by a person who claimed to be her mother, who's not her mother. So this was actually a child trafficking thing with a bunch of fucking illegals. And they tried to put it in the press as this huge, this number one case of somebody being denied an abortion, a 10-year-old being denied an abortion. And it turns out that the 10-year-old was being trafficked by this person who wasn't even their parent. And it's blowing up in their face. Look that up. That shit's coming out big time. But either way, these people are extremely zealous. Just watch any video on the abortion clinics or the LGBTQHPV, whatever the fuck community, and the he, they, them, he, they, shim, whatever the fuck it is, and the furries and all these other people. And you'll find out that they're extremely zealous, but they're ignorant. And that's what verse 3 says here. I can switch to him if you want me to, or there you go, buddy. For they being ignorant of God's, I appreciate you on the fly doing that. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness and seeking to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted to the righteousness of God. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness for everyone who believes. So here's the thing, and I was going to bring it up. I was going to bring up the actual word. So what I want people to get is when we say the word righteousness, it's become one of these religious words. It's become a very very churchy, disconnected word, righteousness. And we don't even know. Well, let's break down just the English word, righteousness. Right, let's take it and just call it rightness. Let's take out the righteous and just call it rightness. And then talk about it being right, okay? That's why you had in the late 50s, early 60s, the Righteous Brothers, because people said, man, that music is right. That is righteous. And that was one of the phrases going out, and these guys jumped on it and said, yeah, man, we're the Righteous Brothers. You can look that up. But anyways, even in English, we understand there's a rightness. Well, when you look up the Greek word, and I had it pulled up, but the internet's still not working on this laptop over here, so I can't pull up the Greek for you. But in the Greek, looking up Romans chapter 10, if you go to Blue Letter Bible, you can open it up and you can find that word righteous. And what it'll tell you is it says the state or condition of him who is as he ought to be. Okay? The state or condition of him, he, she, they, them, no, him, who is as he ought to be. When you are in the correct state or position that you're supposed to be, that you were created to be in, that is righteousness. That is the rightness. And so what this scripture says, Romans chapter 10, is it said that they were ignorant, since they were ignorant of God's righteousness, of the right condition God created them to be in, who they were created to be. Since they were ignorant of that, they sought to establish their own righteousness, their own concept of what it meant to be right, and would not submit to God's righteousness. Now, for the religious mindset, this sounds all, like God. No, listen. God created you for a purpose, on purpose. And if you don't know that purpose, you will gravitate to a purpose other than that. And then once you get grafted or grounded into that perverse purpose, you will then resist true purpose when it is shown to you or presented to you. That's what it's talking about. When you don't know who you were created to be, and you come up with your own ideas or have it indoctrinated on you through society and the media, that this is who you were created to be and it's not, then when the truth comes to you, you will oppose that truth and stay in your perversion most times. There are some people that come out of it, like Tim's talking about with the person that had gender reassignment and then came and spoke at their congregation, but that's why it says in verse 4, for Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. Now, you break that down, okay? For Christ, it's the anointed one. That's Christ. Christos, the anointed one, okay? Well, in the Hebrew scriptures, the Old Testament, it says that the anointing destroys the yoke of bondage. So the anointed one and his anointing destroys the yoke of bondage. So Christ is the end of the law. All of the law, the law and the prophets, right? Jesus said that all the law and prophets are summed up in these two. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Okay? When you love your neighbor as yourself, that means you love yourself in order to love your neighbor. First you have to acknowledge that there is someone greater than you, submit to that acknowledgement, and then you begin to figure out who you are in that relationship. And then as you figure out who you are, you begin to love who you are. And then you're able to love the people around you better. I was having this discussion with somebody the other day, and it was great that we were talking about it. It's like, yeah, you know why I like the vast majority of people around me? Because I like me. So it's easy to like people around me. And every once in a while you come across somebody that's just an asshole, and you go, yeah, I'm not really into whatever you're doing. But the vast majority of people, you're like, dude, it's easy to get along with the vast majority of people. You know why? Because I like me. So unless I come across somebody that's very zealous and they don't know who the fuck they are, and they're screaming in their zeal, this is who I am. Okay, whatever. But anyways, so that verse 4, it's and so the anointed one, his anointing is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes, right? So the end of the law for being in the state or condition of him who is as he ought to be to everyone who trusts. Belief, faith. When you come back to belief, faith, look up those Greek words. Belief and faith, have belief, to have faith. They all come back to the central idea of trust. And there's no greater trust than having to trust someone that you can't see, but that you need to connect with and then rely upon. In fact, it's very fundamental to the 12 steps of the AA. Is they don't push, one of the successes of AA is that they don't push religion. They don't even push God. They push a higher power. And some people have been very critical of that, and I get it. I understand where you're coming from, and you're like, well, they're not even acknowledging God. Okay, I understand what you're saying. But you know how many people have gone through that program and have gotten help because they've got outside themselves enough to look and see that and acknowledge that there's something greater than themselves? And maybe that doesn't lead every single one of them to a path where they connect with God, with their Creator. But some it does. Some people it does. And some people it helps. And not everybody that goes through AA is successful. But there are people that do. And there are people that connect. And the people that do and that do connect recognize that they had an imbalance, a heavy-duty imbalance in their life that they were unable to control without something in their life. And that was started with a higher power, acknowledging higher power. And I think that's where most Christians miss it, is they don't know how to get people into a place of good news. And I'm transitioning a little bit, but it says, Paul talked, I saw somebody post it the other day, and they said, you pull up that on the thing over there? You're able to do it.
Yeah, it took me a hot minute to load a Blue Bible. It didn't load for a while. Dude, site was forever.
Well, and I again, my laptop over here is just dead as a post.
Yeah, I would have switched to it, except for you have the green screen on your setup.
Yeah, I can do it real quick. I want to see that righteousness.
The other monitor.
So, all right. So scroll. Go back. This is the strongest. Go back up.
That is at the top.
That is at the top.
Yeah.
Where's the
righteousness?
Oh, righteousness. Okay, give me the actual Strong's number.
Oh, there it is. The G1343.
Yeah, the G14. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah. That's what I wanted. And then you've got to go through and you've got to look at this. So here it is. In a broad sense, the state of him who is as he ought to be. And then what you've always got to acknowledge when you're doing this, when you're doing word studies in other languages and stuff like that, is you cannot use that word. One of the fundamental number one things that you can't do when defining a word is using the word itself. You can give an example.
Circular reasoning, right?
Yeah, it's circular reasoning. You can't do that. So when they do this and they say that in a broad sense, the state of him who is as he ought to be, righteousness. Okay, well, no. Because then you can't tell me that it's translated as righteousness how many times? 92 times. So 92 times is translated righteousness, and the state of condition of him who is translated is as he ought to be, righteousness. No, you can't do that. You can give me the definition of righteousness, and then you can give me the definition of the word in a foreign language, and if those two definitions are in alignment, then that's a good translation. But don't insert the word. That's a false. So what I like to do right here on Blue Letter, and this is what everybody can do, is go right here. See this? And that's where you don't see. Sorry, that wasn't it. Where's the lexicon? Oh, that is the lexicon. So I'm assuming where they had the black inserted there. Here's the problem. You can explain to me in English what that word means without giving me the English word that it's translated into, because that is circular reasoning. And here's the thing. English didn't exist 2,000 years ago when this Greek word came out. Okay? So you can't have it in the definition. You can have other equivalent words in there that then lead you to this word. I'm splitting hairs, but I'm trying to get people to understand. There's times when I've opened up scripture and it is wrong, meaning the definition is wrong. One's a big one is repentance.
Can we just comment real quick on how many letters are used in German? That's just outrageously ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, dude. There's a comedian out there that did. You've seen it, where he goes through like 4 different languages or 5 different languages. No, it's not even a comedian. It's just a little video, and it's like hospital, and they go what are the French? Hospital, and it's English is hospital, and then it's the German is it's like the Krankenhausen. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, that's that. That's a TikTok guy.
Is it?
Where he's talking, he's hey French, I need assistance with this word. How do you say so and so? And then it's back and forth, and then there's the absurd rule. Yeah, he does that with multiple languages.
Yeah, this one was one where they just literally
himself. With these weird language.
This one was a video I remember years ago. It was like 20 words they just threw up, and they're like, okay, here's the. It was like how to speak German or why German is an angry language or something like that. But yeah, along that lines. But
there's 21 letters in that word.
I know, dude. German's got some issues. But anyway,
but I would like to underscore, by the way, the definition of righteousness is a reflection back into one of my most favorite studies when it comes to identity is the creator of the thing defines its purpose. And the condition acceptable to God in the definition of righteousness is living your created purpose.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so you've got a vast majority of people out there who don't know what their created purpose is. And because of it, they're angry. They're choosing lifestyles that are not, I don't even care. I don't even look at it from a standpoint of you're choosing a lifestyle that's perverted or whatever. You're choosing a lifestyle that's not happy. I've met multiple people like that, and your happiness is surface deep at best. You're not happy. And you're choosing this and acting, and they shout at you and scream at you because they're trying to convince you of things that they should have convinced, that if they truly believe, they don't have to convince anybody of. If you truly,
it's ironic. The first definition is gay, which means happy.
Right.
There's kind of some irony there.
Well, I mean, we could go down that whole road of liberal. Well, the true definition of liberal, and we have to call it classic liberal now, is libeer or liberté or library or liberty or liberate.
Having freedoms, and now the liberals want to take our freedoms away.
Yeah, and the leftists are anything but the personification of. I mean, they're, and it's funny, they got the memes out right now where the 1960s and 70s leftists and liberals were anti-government and pro-free speech and pro this and anti that and everything like that, and they're the exact opposite now. They're they're pro-government.
I wouldn't put any argument up against a true liberal 1965, 70 journalist. Are you kidding me? It was trying to get to the truth. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, where are they now? Where were the Woodward and Bernstein exposing Hillary and the Russian collusion bullshit that we had to endure and spend millions of dollars on and watching? I mean, look at where are the true journalists other than the conservative right ones, the ones that are not even the non-mainstream ones that are saying how much this January 6th is bullshit. All they're trying to do is they're creating this shit. What do they say? What's that phrase? They creating it out of whole cloth. They wanted that to be a huge actual insurrection by inciting people, and it didn't happen. You had a few people that walked in the velvet ropes and a couple of goofy people that did some stupid shit, and they're trying to parlay that into suppressing their competition. Did we ever find that NDA that we never found that?
What am I looking for?
I was trying to find that so it came out. Alex Jones did a special on Saturday that they have introduced a House bill, and at first the House bill was but it literally in the House bill, whatever this one is, introduced by Adam Schiff, it removes the initial observation for the House bill was that it removes oversight of Congress over the military. The military becomes autonomous. That was one of the first things that came out of it, and people were like, fuck that. They need to be under, the power of the purse was given through the Constitution, and that shit needs to go up. But after more examination, the bigger thing that they've found out is that it literally gives dictatorial powers to the president. And people go, well, is that a bad thing? Is that depends on. Joe Biden's not going to last. That guy's gone. He's gone mentally, and he's about to be removed. And there's rumors going around that they're going to try to bring in the governor of California, Newsom. That's what I'm hearing right now, the rumblings. But either way, they're trying to give the president dictatorial powers through this bill, removing, and that is akin to what happened in World War II Germany, pre-World War II Germany. Hitler was elected. He was elected. He didn't win in a landslide, but he was elected, and then he did a false flag with the Reichstag, which is what they tried to do on January 6th, so that they could, that was the the catalyst or impetus to get them dictatorial powers so that they could then make it a dictatorship. What are you going to say, Tim?
Now, is this right? I'm reading House Resolution 1224 for the consideration of the H.R. Bill 7900 to authorize appropriations for fiscal year 2023 for the paying for of abortions and services, but to not be interfered by state law, giving the U.S. military autonomy over those kind of decisions. Was that House Resolution 1224?
I'm trying to remember if that was the numbers but that's
because when they release these things, it does like 400 freaking things.
Oh, dude, they add so much. The infrastructure bill that they passed, what was it, last year or the beginning of this year? Yeah. The infrastructure bill had the word bridge in it once. You're passing an infrastructure bill and it has the word bridge once. You know how many fucking bridges are in this country?
Yes, sure. Well, infrastructure also includes a crap ton of stuff up underground too. But you're right. That's kind of ironic.
But you couldn't mention the word bridge more than once on several thousand pages of an infrastructure bill?
Maybe it was, if they said all bridges, plural, once, and then just kind of said, okay, we don't have to say it again. We know it's about bridges.
Yeah.
Maybe they're saying overpass structures or what. That's kind of funny.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you for the next.
Yeah.
How many words are there per page? And an average page, double whatever the spacing is of like that. Let's say there's
like a printed text.
Yeah, printed text. Let's say there's 200 words.
Text, like let's say 11.
Yeah, let's say there's
font kind of thing.
Yeah, let's say there's 200 words. Let's just be safe and say there's 200 words. I'm just guessing. Sure. Okay, 200 words.
Single spaced.
Yes. Well, no, we can even do double spaces. Yes, let's do 200 words, double spaced, large text, because a lot of these. I mean, Nancy Pelosi's pretty senile. So let's say that's 200 words per page. Let's say it's 1,000 pages. How many words is that? Is that 200,000?
It's 250 words. Good guess, by the way. It's 250. It's 2,500 words for 1,000 pages.
Okay, so 2,500 words.
Yep.
For 1,000 pages, on average. We're just guessing on average. And you don't think you could accidentally use the word bridge twice? I'm just saying, you don't think that, the word bridge in an infrastructure bill, I mean, fuck, they didn't even talk about bridge loans. That's an actual thing that municipalities have to use from time to time until they can get millages and stuff like that passes. They call it a bridge loan. It's a loan that they get to get projects started and then petition the people or advocate for the people to come in and vote for a millage increase so that they can then pay off whatever they've started. It's called a bridge loan. Cities and municipalities do it all the time, as well as companies and stuff like that. And you only manage to get that word in there once out of and I don't even know what the infrastructure bill. These bills are so fucking big, and they give them 2 hours beforehand to. Oh, here's the bill. We got to vote on it in 2 hours.
At 1,000 words 2,500 words, 250 words per minute. It would take them 100 minutes to read it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, 100 minutes. I mean, they'd have to stop. I mean, obviously, an hour, 100 minutes. It's an hour and a half plus 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
To actually sit down and read it and then discuss
and then discuss it, comprehend it, go in and vote. I'm a poor reader.
I mean, a committee, you take 5 hours before lunch in a committee.
Yeah.
Everyone read this for the next 100 minutes.
Well,
and then we'll discuss for 4 hours.
We know the policy of Nancy Pelosi, Nasty Pelosi, is that you have to vote on it and then you can read it.
Yeah.
You have to vote for it and then you can read it later.
Your vote is like a Google CAPTCHA to access to this bill text.
Yeah. Dude, I hate those things. Is that like empowering the AI when you have to use the Google CAPTCHA?
I don't know.
Because the AI can't identify what a fucking bridge is?
Well, first you have to admit you're a robot. And that's right. A lot of those pictures were originally bridges, and they didn't know what they were. Bridges,
I'm like,
signs, fire hydrants,
hey,
squirrels.
if they only have to do one bridge, the word bridge once in this entire infrastructure bill, then there should only be one picture of one bridge in this entire CAPTCHA so that I can get
and
to the
website.
Not
those ones that fade away and then come back.
Yeah,
and
no.
may or may not be a bridge.
No.
And you have to wait for the anticipation, excitement.
No.
Is it going to be a bridge? I don't know.
You know what? The ones that
and then you do it right, and then it still says, nah, you're wrong. Do it again.
Yeah. How about the ones where you go through like 3 or 4 of them? You're like, I know I didn't miss a fucking bus in this thing. And
those are moments in my life where I really contemplate whether or not I truly want access to this.
Exactly. And there's some good sites that I go to that do that shit. And I think it's because they get hacked so much they have to, right? But I'm like, fuck off. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll
Could we help the porn addicted population by forcing a law that puts captures before access to all porn?
Wouldn't that be fun?
They're going to just get tired just failing at capture.
Yeah, but they would be like, all right, can I get captcha with boobs and whatever? Oh, you got to, to get into the porn sites, you got to identify the different, we don't want to go there. You had to bring that up.
Whatever. Let's take it a little too far.
Anyways, getting back to some good stuff. But so when you look at this, there's a righteousness, a condition or state of him who is as he ought to be. And that's why I want to get back to and kind of finish up tonight with, I'm really going to start pushing this more and more because here's the number one thing. If you're not hearing the voice of God, you don't know who you are. And I'm not coming from a religious standpoint of pushing Jesus in your face. I'm saying every single one of us has heard the voice of God. I don't care who you are. From the most demonic person out there to the most righteous person, you've heard the voice of God. Now, the problem is that the vast majority have not recognized the voice of God. But we've all seen, well, the vast majority of us have all seen a little cartoon with the angel and the demon on their shoulder, right? Trying to get you to walk one way or the other. And the conflict of the two little, the demon and the angel fighting over each other to try to get a person to do something, right? That's a cartoon. Well, it's based in reality. The cartoon is. And that's the voice of God on the inside of you, and that's the voice of the devil. Okay? And the devil's trying to deceive you, and God's just trying to do the best. A lot of times, God's not even trying to get you to seek God. God's just trying to help you. That's the amazing thing. I don't know if you can pull it up quick, Tim, but there's a scripture that says that Christ set us free for freedom's sake. He didn't even set us free so he could go, okay, I set you free, so now you can come be with me. He said, I just set you free so you're free. Now do what you're going to do with it. Figure it out. But it's literally, Christ set us free for freedom's sake. For the sake of being free, he set us free. And you go, wow, you just start to meditate on that. Roll it around your head and go, wait a minute. You set me free regardless of how, probably, it sounds right. But it's like you set me free regardless of how I respond to you for that gift of freedom. That's amazing. No strings attached. Now, his desire, the Lord seeks throughout the entire earth for a heart that's turned towards him. Okay? But that doesn't mean that he's going to remove freedom or not help you. Maybe on one of the next shows we'll have to make some notes, but he's passed on now, but John Paul Jackson was a prophet, preacher, minister, and he tells a story of a person trying to go to the grocery store, and they get cut off in traffic, and they get this, and they get to another store, and there's no place to park, and they drive around, and they're having, they're being more and more frustrated by the situation, and they end up in the store, and they're going through, and they finally find what they want, and they end up down this aisle, and they end up getting to the cashier, and then smiling at the cashier in the midst of all the shit that they just went through to get to that point so that they could get out of there. And right after they walk out, the Lord stops them and says, you don't realize everything that you just went through, how I had to have all these angels direct these people into these cars or into these parking spaces so you couldn't park where you wanted to. And I had to have this other person direct these angels so that they cut you off, not cut you off on purpose, but, all these situations happen to direct you so that you could walk down that particular aisle and smile at that cashier, because that cashier was on the verge of committing suicide that night, and your smile, your simple gesture in the midst of all your struggles that day changed their course of action. And the whole point of his story, it's a beautiful story that he tells, but the whole point of the story is you don't know how much your presence affects other people and how much their presence affects you. And if we would start to get into a place where we would understand that, and the bottom line is, most people don't recognize the voice of God. But the Lord's speaking to you and directing you and trying to get you into a place where you can discover your purpose all the time. And he's doing it not for self-gratification or to pat himself in the back or say he did that. It's literally, Christ has set us free for freedom's sake. Just so he could
switch off the green screen.
Oh yeah. Christ has set us free for freedom, therefore stand firm and do not submit to the bondage of slavery again. What version is that?
I believe that is NIV.
Okay. I would say it's the newest version. But yeah, it's still right on the money. Christ has set us free.
King James is stand fast, therefore, in liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free.
Yes. But the 1973 NIV would be.
I see.
Yeah. It's funny.
I figured I'd just find a picture.
No, it's great. That was a great picture. Let's go back to that. That's a great picture. He has set us free for freedom. Therefore, stand firm and do not submit to. I think it says, "Do not be enslaved to the yoke of bondage again, or a yoke of slavery again."
Or do not be entangled again with the yoke of bondage.
Yes, that's it. Do not be entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Is that the NIV? The 73 NIV?
That's the King James.
King James. Okay.
That's King James.
You learn this stuff in so many different
transcriptions,
translations. But you get the gist. Is he set us free for freedom's sake? He set us free just to be free. Now the only caveat there is stand firm in being free. Don't get
the bondage of slavery is the deception of the lie of misidentifying your identity.
Exactly. And that's what people are getting into. I was thinking about it today after we talked. It's a reoccurring thing that pops up. It's like in the Roman era, right after Christ, the Roman Empire was on a decline. And you ended up with an emperor, Caligula, Little Boots is what his name meant, because he was brought up around these other very perverse group of aristocrats and politicians and aristocracy within the Roman hierarchy, and they were highly perverted. He was probably at the least molested, but probably raped and many other things. He ended up being so perverse that he married his horse. They were into not only extreme perversion as far as sexuality, but also they were in extreme perversion with human beings. They were also into extreme bestiality. They were into just extreme depths of perversion. Because when you lose, I think you said the scripture to me earlier today, and we maybe need to pull up the context, but that God sends them how's that first part of it start? That he sends them a great delusion. That's the end of it.
For this purpose, what was the purpose? You're right.
Yeah.
For they are not lovers of the truth. For this purpose,
right? For they're not lovers of the truth.
God sends them a strong delusion.
Correct. Now the church wants to take that and say the love, for the truth, and they want to slap you in the face with the Bible. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, people who don't have a Bible in the depths of some unknown region of the world, and there still are a few, their truth may be just that connection with their Creator. They may not be able to identify it the way you do, but they know that there's a God. And that's the extreme aspect of it. But the dynamic is, listen, whenever you think of, since they did not love the truth, you think of slapping your Bible in somebody's face. Well, there are dynamics of truth that cannot be contained within a book, that are only discovered through a relationship with God who inspired those who wrote the book. And that's one thing that I want people to grasp and be encouraged and comforted and edified in, is that I posed this question probably 20 years ago for the first time. I said, you know what, if you ended up on a desert island with nothing, could you have a relationship with God? And a lot of my Christian friends, thought about it for a minute, and they said, well, yeah. And I said, without your Bible? Well, yeah. I go, oh, okay. Because Christ, whether you can pull it up in Romans chapter 10 or not, Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. Whether you can pull it up, like we have the blessing of being able to pull it up, all these scriptures, the truth of those scriptures came from somebody. Before Paul wrote that down in Romans, before Paul wrote it down in Galatians, that he set us free for freedom's sake, that was a truth resonating on the inside of him. And then he wrote it down for us. And then we've made an idol out of what was written down instead of pursuing the truth in a relationship of what was given to us. And so we've got a lot of fundamental things. But what it comes back to, and this is one thing that I wanted to finish. Did you have something quick, Tim? Did you find the other one, or are you just scrolling over
just
there?
finding the context in that 2 Thessalonians verse.
Okay. Where's it at?
That's all it was.
Okay. You got it? I like it. For this reason, God will... Verse. Yeah. For this, so let's read the context. Let's see.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, actually.
Coming of the law.
For some reason, I can't get that text bigger.
Yeah, and I can't. That's not a touchscreen, so I can't spread it. For the coming of the lawless one will be accompanied with the work of Satan. Well, that's interesting. So the lawless one is not Satan. Anyways, but for every kind of power, sign, and false wonder, and every wicked deception directed against those who are perishing. Oh, does that mean they're already in a state of dying within themselves, whether physically or more likely soulish? They're dying within their soul because they refuse to love the truth, that they would be saved. And there's, again, it's Tim knows this, and some people that really know me, it's so difficult. Tisha would testify to this. It's so difficult for me to read so many of these texts, because I know the Greek behind of it, and I know the dynamics of it, and it's like, they refuse to love the truth.
Well, look at the first paragraph is talking about being aware of false news. I mean, second line is, don't be concerned about any message or spirit or letter coming concerning the coming of the Lord, being alarmed at the day of the Lord has already come and you missed the boat.
Right. Yeah, it's like
they had false news in Thessalonians.
Exactly. Oh, we're in the end times, brother. Listen, man, it's been the end times since he departed. Come on.
Years.
Are you? I go back to what Jesus said. It's like you can see the clouds coming and know that it's going to be rainy, and you can't discern the season you're actually in.
Yeah.
You have no clue. So anyways, it says, for they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. And for this reason, God will send them a powerful delusion that they would believe the lie, in order that judgment may come upon them, may come upon all who have disbelieved or not believed the truth and delighted in wickedness. And wickedness is, think of, whenever you read the word wickedness, most of the time it's translated correctly in the most of your translations, but think of wicker or wicked. When you think of wicked or wickedness, think of wicker furniture and how it has to be twisted together in order to maintain its shape. Okay, and so when you think of wickedness, wicked means to twist something together. So it is twisted. It is perverse. It is twisted. Oh, I got to switch back, don't I? But by contrast, the word evil means to toil. It means to toil at something that is purposeless, or something that is without value. You can.
Is it also strife?
Yeah.
Toil and strife.
Toil and strife. Yeah. Yeah. You're striving for something that is ultimately useless. That has no inherent purpose or value or reward to it. That is evil.
But the evil ones are the toilsome or strifeful ones.
So think about it. The way I describe it is this way: is that Hitler and Himmler and all those guys, the higher ups of the Nazi Party, were wicked. They were twisted. They were perverse. They were a group of very, Hitler. When you actually study Hitler, you find that he had a destiny and a direction, just like Stalin. They both had callings of God in their life, and if you dig deep enough into the history, you can see that they had callings, that they had specific moments where they were visited by God. This is in their history. This is not obscure. Most people like to focus on just the simple things. And they were called to be leaders and orators. That's what they rose to be. But it was perverted, and they ended up being the ultimate destructive people. They ended up being destroyers. But all the people who went along with them were evil. So I never consider Hitler and Himmler and those guys to be evil. They're wicked. And so people think, well, what's the difference? I just told you the difference. Wicked is being twisted. You are a twisted soul. Your soul is perverse and twisted. But when you go along with a twisted person in an endeavor that is purposeless, that is perverse, that is without reward, you are evil. That's why it says the love of money is the root of all.
I was just about to ask you that, because you referred to that as the lover of the person who has that money.
Correct.
Those who chase after those silver holders.
Yes.
For the clout, for the entourage.
The phileo, the friend of, or the lover of, the friendly lover of those who have the silver are the ones who are Yeah, you got to. It's amazing when you look up those. They're toiling at something that is useless, that is without purpose, and so it's amazing when you begin to break down these words. So it's hard for me sometimes to read the text, because I've studied. Literally, I bought my first Greek and Hebrew lexicon back in when I was 18. 17, 18. I had my first jobs when I was like 15. 15, 16. As soon as I could drive, I was working at least a part-time job. And one of the things I love to do is go to the Christian bookstore and buy music, Christian music, and buy resources. And when you spend $80 back in 1988, 89, when you spend $80 on a Greek and Hebrew lexicon as a teenager, you might have a little bit of an interest in studying some of the stuff that's going on. So in fact, it's downstairs. My original version. I have the interlinear Greek and Hebrew Bible, and it's a huge book, and it has all the corresponding Strong's Concordance numbers. And I had a huge Strong's Concordance, an exhaustive Strong's Concordance. And I used to study that all the time, and I would look up words, and I just love to devour it and get into it and study it. And you know what I came away with was not a profound sense of religiousness. I came away with a profound sense of hearing the voice of God and loving the Lord and being in a depth of relationship. And some people can miss that with me to the depth that I'm explaining it tonight, but nobody misses it on the surface level. I've had too many opportunities with people, but more. Well, no, I've had some good opportunities lately with a couple of my buddies. My one buddy, I have been over at his wife's house, doing some some work for them, some trim work and some other custom carpentry work and stuff like that. And had 3 or 4 times where I just sit down, or not sit down, but I'm standing there, we're doing work, and I stop for, half an hour and just, we're having this awesome, just encouraging conversation. But even the people that I thought would not be, some people surprise me. And they come over and go, I had a couple people that dealt with, either family members or situations, and just out of the blue, they go, "Hey, preach, you say a prayer for me, or pray for my family." And I'm like, "Absolutely, you know me." And they go, "I know, I just, I'm letting you know, And I go, "Yeah, man, give them a hug and cheers the beers, and we move on." And there's a lot of religious people that don't get that. And I go, that's because you don't get context and you don't get the depth of relationship. Jesus sat around with a bunch of stinky-ass fishermen drinking wine and trying to get them to understand their purpose. And we get so religious and so self-righteous that I'm not trying to be debased in order to reach a certain demographics. I'm being me. And if you knew my upbringing, and I've talked about it. There's too many videos out there of me talking about it. But, I had one side of the family that was Catholic, and if you didn't enjoy an adult beverage with them after a good hard day's of work, you were a snob or an asshole. And then there was the other side of the family that if you even thought about drinking alcohol, Jesus wasn't happy with you. And I'm like, no, there's some people that shouldn't drink. They don't have a balance. They don't have a self-discipline and a balance in their life. That's a given. Okay. But for a lot of people, enjoying an adult beverage socially with a group of people is a great way to communicate. Not great way to communicate. It's a great way to take down the barriers and enjoy. They don't understand that the founding fathers that brought forth a new nation conceived in liberty met in the taverns, met in the what was the other Old English word for tavern? Anyways, they met in the bars of their ages, okay, and mostly they fuck up the cartoon of Johnny Appleseed, but Johnny Appleseed was actually more about the fact that the early colonies, the number one drink in the early colonies, was apple beer and apple wine, fermented apple drinks. Okay, and then second to that was mead, and it wasn't until the Germans came in the late 1800s and brought beer, hops, and barley. That the beer that is the big thing now was took over the market. Until that time, it was apple beers and mead. Mead is made from honey. But some of the best wine throughout the centuries has been made by monks. Well, what the hell? The monks are making wine? Don't people get drunk on wine? Yeah. But if you learn moderation and you learn balance, Paul said, all things are permissible, but I won't be mastered by anything. And you learn to have your limitations. You learn when you've said enough. My one buddy the other night had a few too many beers, and I was concerned about him getting home. And he only had to go a couple miles, but I said, I texted him. I said, "Did you make it home?" I almost, took keys and stuff like that. And he wasn't leaving my place. We were leaving a mutual separate place together, and he's a grown man, but he called me the next day and he says, "Man, I can't do that again," and we said, yeah, and we talked about it and stuff like that, and it wasn't an overly contrite situation, but it was a situation where he went, "Dude, that was, yeah, I didn't realize," and sometimes you do that, but you learn balance and you learn self-control in those moments, whether you learn it through a mishap or a certain situation. That's a different realm. That's the 80%. We're not talking about somebody that killed somebody that has been a habitual drunk, and I've endured those situations. Tisha knows better than I do, but I was there in her life where we lost somebody that was a habitual drunk, that was not seeking balance, that was not had one too many and just made the foolish decision of driving home. This was somebody who was absolutely belligerently drunk and had a history of that and killed somebody. Two different scenarios, okay? But people have got to get out of their... I'm going to tell you got to get out of your religiousness. Do whatever you want to do. But if you're not encouraging people to hear the voice of God, and you're not encouraging people to know who they are and walk in their purpose, you're not doing the work of God. Sorry. Because that's the number one work. And they go, well, we gotta preach the gospel. Yeah, Godspell, good news. What do you think the best news somebody could ever hear? Do you think it would be, you have a purpose? What did John write in 1 John? He said, that which we've seen, that which we've heard, the things we have touched about the light of life. And I'm butchering it a little bit. But he said in verse 2 and 3, he says, all this stuff we've experienced and we proclaim to you. And then he says, so that you may have fellowship with us, because our fellowship's with the Father and with his Son. I've watched too many church leaders who don't want to get to know people. They want to preach at them on a Sunday morning. They want to hand out a tract or a pamphlet. My buddy he picked up a 12-pack of Reds. That's what he likes to drink. And he came over and he threw them in the fridge. And as he's opening up the case to put them in the fridge, he pulls out this pamphlet. And he says, what's this? And I said, oh, it's a tract. I said, they're trying to tell you about Jesus. And I flipped through a couple pages.
They put a tract in a case.
Wow. Yeah, they put a tract in a case of thing. So the other day he gets another case, and he's like, I was looking to see if there was another one in there. He was
prize in the box.
Yeah, prize in the box. I was like, you know what? Those, I'm sure have had some small impact, but nothing compares to cultivating a relationship with people. And cultivating those relationships is messy. It's you can get hurt, you can get burned, you can get wounded. But if you have never been crucified to save the world, and granted, your maturity level to be crucified for the world would have to be on par with the crucifixion. But until you've endured that type of abuse and then turn around and say, the insults of those who insult you have fallen on me, you don't understand as a church leader. That's the depth that God is calling us to as we mature into it. Not right away, but as we mature into it. But either way, we got to be speaking to people about purpose, and not purpose where we're throwing it in their face, but when the opportunities through relationship arise, you encourage, comfort, and edify people into who they're supposed to be. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. And we can rant and rave, and we can have an adult beverage, and we can enjoy ourselves, and we can sing some songs, and we can, I love that line from remember the first, not the first, but the Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Remember that one, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the friar's there, and he's an absolute drunk. And he says, so let's, and he says something to Morgan Freeman's character, and Morgan Freeman responds back, and he goes, yes. And he goes, so let's crack open a pint and do our best to save each other's souls, And I love that line, and I've used it with a number of people just having fun. And I say, let's enjoy an adult beverage in a social setting and do our best to encourage each other, to edify each other, to comfort each other, because life is hard. Life is a struggle, And we've had a very blessed life in this country, but we're headed for some rough times. And so I want to really take my show into a direction of more of a focused effort of encouraging, comfort, and edifying people, not from a religious standpoint. We've used a ton of more scriptures than I've used in a long time on here, but you see that I'm very familiar with them. They're not far from me, but there's a dynamic there of living the truth, of seeking the truth. What was that scripture over there? You still have it somewhere over there, Tim? The truth. I just want to see it myself. I'll read it out, but.
The image one?
Yeah. For this reason, no, not that one. I think it was the Thessalonians one you had.
Oh, it was the one that was there. I just didn't have it big.
Yeah.
It's 10.
Verse 10. And since they did not, for this, no, right there.
Where'd it go?
It's missing in the tiny print across the room.
Yeah, no.
You got to scroll down or no?
Oh, that's 2 Thessalonians. No, that's right.
That was right. That was right. Right there at the bottom. Is that 12? In order that judgment may come on those. No, right there, verse 11. For this reason, God sends them powerful delusion that they would believe the lie in order that, maybe 10. Wicked deception against. In order that judgment.
Lawlessness.
Yeah, it's the man of lawlessness. Coming of the lawless one will be accompanied the work of Satan.
I'm sorry, it's 11. For this reason, God.
Yeah, for this reason, God sends them powerful delusion so that they would believe the lie. For this reason, God, or in order that the judgment may come upon those who disbelieve the truth and delight in wickedness. Since they did not love the truth, that's what we were looking for, is that word. Since they did not love the truth and who have disbelieved the truth. But what was that line? We read it on here, right? Oh, it's the Berean study.
Was it question?
Since they didn't love the truth. Remember, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
That the truth, when you love the truth, you don't have to love the church. You don't have to love Scripture. You don't have to love all of the other religious concepts and ideas. But you will find that there are things in the church that are beautiful to you. And you can do your best to overlook the flaws. And you will find the awesome things in the scriptures that encourage you and edify you and build you up. In fact, that's another scripture in Romans where it says that everything, as Romans 14, everything written in the past was written to teach us, 15:4. Everything written in the past was written to teach us so that we may have... so that we may be encouraged and edified. Now may the God who gives edification and encouragement give you a spirit of... I'm losing the phrase, but anyways, everything written in the past was written to teach us. So you find awesome things in Scripture. And I love reading extra-canonical scriptures, and I like listening to different podcasts or video teachings on commentaries on the Scriptures. Breaking them down and the different historical ideas. I've got an awesome. It's not a 1973 NIV, but it's not a current edition. It's an older edition, but it's an NIV archaeological Bible, and every single page is there's a scripture. The scriptures printed out, but then there's almost every single page has an article or a discovery on it, and it's just the coolest thing to read about that. I love reading the history of the day and everything like that. So, anyways, I think I'm getting pretty good here with what we've been able to do tonight. We had a lot of fun, except for this computer messing up and a couple other little glitches. But other than that, we had a good time. But I just want to encourage everybody out there. This is my final thought. Whether you acknowledge it or not, the Lord's speaking to you, and we're going to get into it more and more as we move forward in different, the different episodes coming up, because this is really, this is my brain. That's my show. And this is something that's always something I come back to on a regular basis, is is these concepts and these ideas, and people don't always recognize that or hear me say it as much. And with what's coming down the line, I want to get back to saying it more and more, because listen, you're going to be presented with things in the very near future. And I was describing it to Tim this way today. People keep saying we're in a spiritual battle, yet they don't talk about the pneuma. Okay? And what I mean is pneuma is the Greek word for that we translate spirit. And the Greek word pneuma means the breath. And they do a little bit of revisionist definitions, and they say the spirit, this and that. Well, the root word means breath, to breathe. So when we talk about a spiritual battle, who are you hearing? Because hearing, faith comes by hearing the word of God. Well, John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then John 1:14, it says, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. So we're not talking about hearing Scripture, even though there are powerful things you hear in Scripture. But Scripture is not alive. You are alive. You read Scripture. That's encouraging. But the Logos, the living embodiment of the words of God, the expression of God, embodied in Jesus Christ, faith comes by hearing him. Because I can read a text all day long, but I have to have somebody speak to me in order to actually trust it. So faith comes by hearing the word of God himself, the embodiment. And so when you start to get that, but as we're moving forward, I was again back to what I was saying is we're going to be confronted with a lot of things, and people keep saying, I hear more and more people saying, we're in a spiritual battle. We're a spiritual battle. Okay. If in this spiritual battle you think first that Klaus Schwab is the biggest problem you've got, or Bill Gates, or Joe Biden, or all these other people, they're not your first problem. You are your first problem because you don't know who you are. You're not figuring out who you're supposed to be by hearing the voice of God speak to you about who you are. And we can get into more detail about how easily that is to be able to train your ear to hear. Just like if you walk into a foreign country and you just pay a little bit of attention, you can begin to figure out the language without even being taught. Now, if you learn beforehand and then you walk in, you've got an advantage. But I saw something today, something came across today, and it said, the average person knows 600 or 6,000, whatever it was, 600 or 6,000 French. The title was French. Here's 600 words that you already know. And it could have been 600 or 6,000. And I started reading the words, and I'm like, oh, no, I correct myself. It was Greek. I was looking up some Greek words, and I wanted to pull up my Greek alphabet so that I could have my alphabet in front of me on the computer. And the Greek, one of the things that came up in that was you already know Greek. And it was listing out like 600 Greek words that we use every day. But we don't realize it. So
it's Greek to me means that I actually do understand.
Exactly. And some people will say that. They'll go, oh, that's Greek to me. And I go, well, I'm not a scholar by any means.
So you get it then.
But yeah, exactly. But I studied Greek and Hebrew for over 30 years. I'm not well versed enough to speak it. But I can navigate pretty well in it. But that just means that I can I can get back to the original text. But my point is that I was saying to Tim, I said, you know what? Everybody keeps saying this spiritual warfare and spiritual warfare and spiritual warfare, but if they're not talking about hearing the voice of God in that warfare, then they're under that deception. They're still missing it. They're still missing the purpose, the destiny, the connection that's going on, and they're focused on the outside. It says, first and foremost, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and all this stuff. And most people don't know what principalities and powers means. It doesn't mean demons. Those first two are not demons, but that's how the church presents it. It's demon, 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 demon. No, you're your biggest problem, first and foremost, because you don't know who you are, and you don't know, and you're making decisions that are not aligned with who you are. That's your biggest problem. But either way, a wrestle not against flesh and blood. So Klaus Schwab, as much of an asshole as he is in following demonic voices and fully given over to, Satan, as well as Bill Gates and Fauci and a whole bunch of these other people, they're not my biggest problem. My biggest problem is me. I got to wake up each day and know my purpose and make decisions in line with it. But either way, when people look at it and they go, this is a spiritual battle. Okay, in a spiritual battle, the word spiritual, spirit, means breath. Pneuma, breath. So what are you listening to? And what I said was, with the stuff that's coming down and reading this, we didn't get into the bill because we weren't able to pull it up, but we're going to get into the bill in the next times that we sit down. We're going to go over this bill that they're trying to pass to give the president dictatorial powers. And they're going to remove Biden before they pass that so that they can give it to somebody that's more coherent, and not Pedo Pete. But they're going to try to get somebody in there because they want to do this dictatorial powers. And I was going to pull up, I had the article pulled up and I didn't go over it. You can go find it on InfoWars, but it says there's a video of a man who receives a warrantless ATF visit for purchasing more than 2 guns at a time. So this guy apparently purchased 7 guns since January of this year, and the ATF and 2 ATF agents and a local sheriff showed up at his door and wanted to check out his guns to make sure he had them, and he wasn't a straw buyer. And the interviewer later, or he's telling the interviewer, he's like, you know what? I shouldn't even let them in. I shouldn't have, given in to them coming in, because they didn't have a warrant to search my place, and I am a lawful gun owner. And it really was unacceptable for them to show up to verify that I still had my guns. He said, which I did verify. Now, here's the key to this, and the reason I bring this up is listening to the Spirit of God, your gut, knowing what's going on inside of you, that still small voice. And most people may not couch it in Jesus terms, but they get that when they say, I knew in my heart, I knew in my gut what I was supposed to do. And sometimes they say, and I did it, man, and it worked out. Or they'll say, I didn't do it, and all this other shit happened. And you go, yeah, you knew what you were supposed to do. Well, that's the intuition of God on the inside of you. And the more you tune into it, the more productive and successful you'll be in life, because God has nothing but the best for you if you'll just listen. But what I was talking to Tim about today was, I said, look, there's coming some armed battles. When people talk about spiritual warfare and spiritual conflicts, it always gets devolved into the physical. And, if this happens, I'm going to do this and do that. Okay, great. And I always, whenever somebody tells me absolutely what they're going to do, I tend to go, okay, cool. That may be. I have a plan of action, multiple plans of action on any given scenario. But I don't know what I'm going to do until I reach that decision point, because I'm going to default to the Spirit of God within me to know how to react. And maybe that guy felt bad afterwards that he didn't tell those ATF guys to fuck off his porch and go get a warrant. But maybe that was the exact right thing he needed to do at that moment to not get shot. And him telling his story later, how it was unacceptable ultimately for them to show up on his doorstep without a warrant, is a much better story than guy with lawful guns gets shot down by ATF for refusing to show them that he still had his guns. We don't know all the dynamics. But I'm more empowered by the story of him saying, you know what, next time they show up at my door, I'm going to request a warrant. Okay? I'm more empowered by that than I am with him showing up and saying, you want to see my guns? Here's my loaded ones. And the ATF agents in there said, he says, well, they're in my safe. He says, okay, unload them and bring them out and show it to us. And he complied with that. Now, big burly men, and we go, I would never comply to that. Okay, you weren't in that situation. And you don't know what he heard in his gut. You don't know what he heard in his spirit that preserved his life and made him go forth, okay? And the whole point of that is things may come to physical confrontations in this country, and they're trying. They're trying to get us to that point. And I'm imploring everybody out there, and I'm not the only one, but I'm imploring everybody out there, you better be listening to that still small voice on the inside of you. And what I said to Tim earlier today was to know whether to rip the gates off the city, that was Samson, or whether to march around it 7 times and then blow the trumpets and watch the walls fall down. You have to hear the Spirit of God to know how to address physical altercations, physical interactions. And if you don't, it could cost you your life. And they're trying. There are people still in prison right now from the January 6th supposed insurrection that simply walked through the velvet ropes. And they're trying to get them to turn on, to turn witness on anybody. And it's bullshit what they're dealing with. They're being held without due process. They're being coerced. They're being held in solitary confinement. Pray for those guys, those people. There's one grandma for sure I know of in there, but there's a whole bunch of people that are being held for January 6th, which was a made up fault. They're making it into something. It wasn't a false flag because we didn't, those people didn't do a false flag, but they're making it out to be something that it's not. They're trying to hold these mock hearings. And I was with a whole group of people last week in my delegate meeting, and they were phenomenal because their biggest, the whole crowd, there had to be, I don't know what it was, 80 or 100 people in that place. And all of them, except for like a very small handful of people were like, was the election stolen? And they were like, it was stolen. This is bullshit. And January 6th was bull. It was very eye-opening for me to see the amount of people, a wide swath of eclectic group of people that were united in understanding the fundamental truths that we've talked about in the show tonight, but also these patriotic American values. And that's who they're coming after. That's why I wanted to go over this bill tonight. But they're coming after us. And what I want to implore people is you better get...
HR 4350?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, that's what Alex... Yeah, HR 4350. Thank you. You found it.
Yeah.
And that is an act to 4350. I want people to recognize 4350. And I want you to find it, just like we did, and go through it, and then let the Spirit of God lead you. You need to call your congressman, you need to call your senator, you need to call somebody. If that's what you're led to do, do it. If you have your own podcast, you have your own thing, get on and do that. If you want to post on Facebook or one of these other social medias, post it until they take you down. Put it out there. Use the enemy's platforms until they take you down. Okay? But this literally, this House resolution bill, okay, removes oversight of Congress over the military, and it gives the president dictatorial powers to enforce martial law in the United States and remove the rights of citizens. Gun confiscation, just all sorts of stuff. Let's see. It officially declares globalist puppet Joe Biden to be a dictator inside the continental United States and to wage land, sea, and air operations against American people. That's exactly what it does. I was listening to the reading of it. I need to read the whole bill, but it's very long. But that's what they're looking to do, and we need to recognize that. But here, above all else, thank you, Tim, for bringing that up. We found it. But above all else, you better know how you're supposed to respond in the moment by the Spirit of God, because it could cost you your life. I got a safe full of guns. My boys were out this past weekend at my oldest son's place and shooting, and Vince was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, Dad, he says, we were sighting things in. He's like, I was taking stuff out he was shooting at 50 yards with his scope, which means that 300 yards he's dialed in. So it's 50 and 300 is the way his scope works. So if it's 75, then it's whatever the compounding number is. But he said, yeah, he's like, I could take somebody out, but we both have in the back of our heart and mind, we hope we never have to use that, but that's the situations that we're being pushed into. And that is one of the most difficult situations that we're looking at in this country, because the reason this country has not already been overthrown is because there's a lot of guns in a lot of righteous people's hands. And if you push too hard, it can end up in open conflict, but that's what they want, because then it gives them a justification. And I'm trying to tell people, don't be the one. There'll be somebody, but don't be the one that is the catalyst giving them justification to come and destroy the liberties that we all live in right now. Oh, there's Vincent. There's Taylor Vincent. I'll give the table shot here, buddy. Looking pretty sharp. Look at, you better get over close to that one. Look at him. He's looking all dapper, sexy. It's a nice suit you got there, man. I'm wrapping up my final thoughts. It's a borrowed suit. It's looking good, bro. Oh, those are borrowed. Al's letting you wear shoes? I guess so. It's sexy. You're going to have to check this video out after I'm done, dude. I think you're going to like tonight's broadcast. You had a good meeting?
Yeah, pretty good.
Cool. All right, I'm going to wrap it up with everybody out there. Anything final in chat that I missed, Tim, that we need to acknowledge, or are we good?
I'll look.
Okay. I appreciate everybody out there checking us out.
Good show from Jeff.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. For those of you that have already tuned in, or those of you that are going to tune in later and catch us on a rebroadcast, I appreciate y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. We are going to, Tim and I are going to be or already formulating some plans, some, what do you call it, logistics, Tim?
Yeah.
We're going to start doing some stuff, so we're going to get a central platform so that we can start directing everybody to a central platform that is not censored the way that YouTube and Facebook and some of these other places go, but we'll still use Facebook and YouTube to get people there, and DLive and Twitch and Rumble. Rumble's really good. I haven't had any problems with Rumble, but I still don't understand how to stream on there the best. And then there's some other things, some other sites that we want to get to, but we want to be able to post all this stuff. So like, share, and subscribe wherever you guys are at. Share it. If you enjoyed it tonight, share it with some friends. Even if you can, it's hard for me to do because we work a full-time job and stuff like that. But if you can grab some, even Tim can probably give a tutorial on how to pull a chunk of the video that you really like tonight and share it on your own Facebook or whatever. Vince, did you have something you needed to share before I shut it down? Did you have a thought, or am I just going to shut it down? No, just sitting here all sexy and looking like a hitman. Yeah, locked and loaded. Okay, buddy. I don't think I
Still carrying my gun.
Did I switch the?
No, it's the first time you've gone to this 2-up.
Yeah. I did.
Nobody was on the rail.
Nobody was on the rail, so I adjusted. I did adjust his camera a little bit, but I didn't center the table back up. See how the table's not perfect, but whatever. Anyways, so there it is, guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Really appreciate you all, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you as always, Tim. It was great having you in my ear and on the show tonight. And with that, we'll say good night.
This is my brain.
Dad, that's an egg.
Yeah, that's an egg.
Honey,
Dude, that's an egg.
seriously.
That's an egg.
It's a metaphor.
It's still an egg.
That's an egg.
I would challenge you.
That's an egg.
I know my brain is not actually an egg, okay? It's a metaphor.
Metaphor or not, that's not your brain. I can clearly see.
It's just an egg.
Una cerveza para mí. My egg is my brain.
Can I at least have some bacon, maybe some sausage with that egg, though?
Oh, I want some bacon.
I want crepes.
Have some bacon and pancakes with that egg.
I'll take it with cheese.
Extra large brown cage-free eggs.
Can I have your brain with hot cakes?
A little sausage and a little toast and potato.
That would be great.
Does it have antibiotics?
I don't know, man. I'm not good at this shit.
Well, they got to be able to resist some diseases.
You resist the disease.
Has it got any hormones?
Maybe. It's cage-free.
Vegetarian?
Maybe.
Are they vegan?
No, I eat steak.
Never apologize and never explain. It's a sign of weakness.
It is a sign of the Duke. Yes.
John Wayne.
Weak.
The Duke.
Weakness.
Never apologize.
Never apologize